we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
In the last 2 weeks. I am out of the basement and back in the studio. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio. We are back. Brandon Wainwright is our guest tonight. We got Dirty Filth on the cartoons, talking intuition, healing, consciousness. You know, we're going to throw everything at Brandon tonight, and it's going to be absolutely great, absolutely awesome. Boy, I got to tell you guys, I missed you. And just for the record, so you all know, I did not cut the hair. I got it trimmed. I got about that much taken off, make it healthy again. But I know some of you were worried. I did not get my hair cut. There we go. There we go. All right. I am so pumped to be back. And, maybe I'll take my next vacation like 7.5 years from now. But first, let's get to roll call, shall we? Race fan in the gold medal position. Roy Boy takes home the silver with Ann B in the bronze medal tonight. Hi, Logan and Kevin. Brown Dwarf, nice wrench, buddy. Les Paul Holland, good to see you. Gong Show is here. Gong Show will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Moving on, Rose Brooks, good to see you. Wes H, nice to have you back. And there's Jenny. I can't do a show without her. Nightmare, good to see you. Big Dog, welcome back. Big Dog will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio. To the right of the studio. Toe Tag, Mennonite Abe, good to have you both here. Kathy Evans, thank you for coming on in. Hi, Michael Morris. And who else is joining us tonight? Well, let's take a look here. It's Ann Palmer. Awesome, Ann Palmer. Hi, Nikki. How are you in Seattle? Nice to see you. And Jules, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming on in. Hi, Samantha. Nice to have you back. It's good to be back here as well. Pixie Lara, nice to see you. And who else is joining us tonight? Well, it's Desert Rat and the Michael Leger. The Michael Leger is back. Hey, Mike, hit me up privately. I'll get you my address again if you don't mind. And Heather McIntyre, good to see you. Thank you for joining us at Cat Chaser. It's always a pleasure, and thank you so much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you so, so much. Alien Critter, good to see you as we continue on with roll call here. Mr. Lurks-a-Lot, Raven is Ryan. Dim-de-dim is back. I love that Dim-de-dim name. Cecil, how you doing, buddy? Pam Harris, thank you for joining us. Hi, Kawhi Snyder. D. Cohen, my man, how are you? George Hernandez, Dirty Filth. Lynn Monet, nice to see you. How have you been? We got to get you back on the show, Lynn. River Dogma, Nicholas Shaughnessy, Travis DeLuca, Will Aldridge, welcome to SOR Chat. How you doing, man? Good to see you. And who else do we got here on roll call? It's Simply Coco. Please do us a favor and let us know what your drink of choice is for my return. Aunt Edna is here. We love it when Aunt Edna is here. And let's get the radio side going there perfectly. And Tits McGee is here filling in for the vacationing Veronica Corningstone. Thank you for that. Jenny Girl, nice to see you back. Escape from Blue Jersey. Jeff Steve Garvey, he'll hit a home run for you. Nucker, how you doing, buddy? Ozzy, oi, oi to you, my friend. Super Duke, Super Duke, Super Duke, Super Duke. YJ, how you doing, man? Hope up north is getting nice and cold for you. Invisible Tracker, good to see you. Fab22, thanks for coming on in. Commonwealth Andrew, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Hi, Chris. Teen, nice to have you back. Kim Jellin, my favorite Nicole Sakic in the world, is in the chat room. Lee Pepping, how you doing? Pigpen, welcome to SOR chat. Oh, hey, Clam, how you doing? 405er, good to see you. As we continue on with roll call, do we get it all in? That is the big question. Paramarv, nice to see you back, man. I'm glad to be here. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived. Bobbert, how you doing? Alexander, it's been a while. Nice to see you. Just Janet, welcome to SOR chat. Look, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Let's grow this channel. We want 20,000 before the end of the year. Do me a favor. Horns up. Of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old baby the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show to kick off this week. We got Brandon Wainwright here. He's a former cop, and he's going to talk about his newfound intuition that he is trekking on down. I can't wait for the UFOs to come. That'll really screw him up. Then in hour number 3, we got our resident swamp dweller coming in with another spooky story. Tim Senor is here for the UFO report. Shirky Poo has the news. Now, a couple of years ago, we had Brandon Wainwright on, and it was about a book he wrote about his dog Tyson, who passed away due to a brain tumor in April of 2018, and the experiences that he started having. Because we all know when a pet dies, let's face it, it devastates us. It hurts. It sucks. Okay, because it's like losing a member of our family. Well, Tyson started communicating with the other side. And this has quickly changed Brandon's entire life. He is now 100% focused on learning what's on the other side. And this is a great way to kick off my week as I begin live here with all of you once again after a 2-week holiday. So, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio again, my friend. How you been doing?
Good. Thanks for having me back, Dave. I'm excited.
Me too.
I had a lot of fun last time.
Well, we're going to do it all again tonight, my man, because, since you were last on, you've quit being a police officer and you are now solely focused on learning about your own intuition. We're going to get into all of that. But first, a little recap here. I mean, before your former dog, Tyson, that you wrote a book called Tyson's Gift, okay, did you believe in any of this stuff? Was this just all a bunch of malarkey, or was it something that you gave credence to but really never paid attention to?
More the latter. I believe that there was more, but I had done my own searching primarily through the spectrum of religion. That's kind of what I associated spirituality with, and I never found any. Well, I shouldn't say any truth, but I never found any definitive truth in religion, so I kind of had given up. And so I knew there was more. I believed there was more, but I couldn't have told you what that was, and I was okay with that until Tyson passed away. And then I went through the, like you were alluding to, the crisis of losing my baby, and wondering where he was and if he was okay, and that inspired me to dig deeper. And yeah, well, the rest is history.
Is he still coming around? Still kind of guiding you from the other side?
Um, it's an interesting thing. He's definitely still coming around. And some of it's from the other side, some of it's from this side. So that's an interesting question. But yeah, he's still definitely a big part of my life.
All right. So the fact that your dog is kind of guiding you from the other side, which is just absolutely amazing. And a lot of people will say, geez, were you hit on the head with too many bricks? Do you have PTSD over your time as a police officer? Because I think you spent a better part of 20 years or somewhere close to that
No,
as
well, 12 years.
12. Okay.
Yeah.
Close enough. Close enough. Yeah.
I don't want to take credit where it's not due.
No, I understand that, but it's a stressful job, and it doesn't matter whether you serve 1 year or you serve 50 years. I mean, there's any type of PTSD that can get over. I mean, have you heard anything about that? People questioning why you would leave the police force in order to study your own psychic intuition and ability.
Well, I didn't. The two weren't mutually exclusive. So I was doing both at the same time, and I left the police for other reasons. But one of the big benefits to leaving was being able to focus on the metaphysics and like you said, the intuition and the healing and that sort of thing. So I did it for good reasons, and nobody's really, I'm sure there's some people that question what I did, but for the most part, people have been very supportive and understanding, and it was a good decision for me. My life has definitely become more peaceful since I left.
Well, you know what? What kind of stress did you go through on a daily basis? Never mind the reason why you left, but for a lot of us who have never been in law enforcement or the military, I don't think that we understand that for a lot of people, the police force is a civilian paranorm or a paramilitary force that
Right.
upholds the law. And I think a lot of people don't understand, what goes through. I mean, that's a high end stress job. In order to every day, you got to be on. You have to be mentally focused. And even when you're off, you're always checking over your shoulder. Is the bad guy going to know where I live? Is he going to know what my wife looks like, or my children, where they go to school, or wherever? I mean, living with that on a daily basis that most police officers do, that cannot be fun.
No, I mean, you're right. That's a big part of the stress is the what ifs that are on your mind all the time. I was fortunate in that I didn't worry too much about my, what was going to happen off duty. But it changes the way you look at things when you're off duty. You're looking at more detail. You see people differently. You recognize threats and things like that much quicker. And so you're always a little bit on edge, even when you're off duty, for sure. It changes the way you see the world. When it came to, like when you leave for work, you don't know if you're going to come back. That's something that wears on you all the time. You think, big long term, geez, I'm going to be doing this for another decade at least. The way things are going, am I going to survive? Am I going to survive legally? Is something going to happen where I end up, just trying to do the best I can, end up arrested for doing my job, or sued or something? Those types of stresses really, especially the last couple of years, 2-3 years, really weighed heavily on me. But they always did. Like I think we were talking about this earlier. I would make a conscious effort to I would change my watch. I wore a different watch when I was on duty versus when I was off duty. Just, it was like this mental thing. Okay, I'm taking that armor off right now, and I'm just going to be a civilian. But yeah, it's that, like the situations that you deal with on the job. Certainly, there's some real, there's pucker moments for sure throughout your career, but those are things that you expect. Those are when you picture yourself becoming a police officer, you're going to encounter those types of situations. What you don't take into account is just the chronic stress that that underlying just kind of always low level stress that's there that you just learn to live with, and it does take its toll when you realize how much how much of a toll it's been taking when you leave, because then all of a sudden it's, whoa, this is kind of nice. I don't have this burden on my back anymore, and it's interesting too, because in the beginning I took it on gladly, and it was something that was very easy to accept. It was difficult, but I accepted it willingly. And then, as things, this is just for your audience to gain a little bit of an understanding, as the anti-police sentiment has grown, and that worry factor that's constantly there, you start to, the incentive, the motivation to do that job, I think for most police officers has gone down, respectively with that. And so that makes it more difficult when you're not accepting it. You know what I mean? Like when you're questioning things a lot more, you're asking yourself, is it worth it? And then it becomes much more difficult. And then that translates into it being more stressful.
As one of our listeners here, D. Cohen, says, "You're not wrong, my friend. I'm police in D.C." I mean, it takes a real strong person to be able to deal with that, and I mean, I don't know if I could. I really couldn't. I mean, that's an entirely different situation, because I sure as hell know that if I saw, somebody beating up their spouse or hurting a child, that never mind an arrest, there would have to be a good beating going back the other way, before the handcuffs went on. And I know that's wrong, but I couldn't do that. I just couldn't do that.
Well, you'd be surprised if you made that decision and for whatever reason ended up in law enforcement. Knowing you, I think you would actually be a good cop. And I think you're a lot more capable. I think a lot of people are a lot more capable of it than they realize. The thing is the commitment, the willingness to do it. And there's cops become cops for a variety of different reasons, but they're just regular people doing a job. It's just, I know since I stopped, we moved from California to Tallahassee, and the first, I think it was about a month and a half after we moved here, I got pulled over and for speeding, and I was in a school zone. I didn't realize that I was in a school zone, and I'm new to the area, and I was actually doing the exact speed limit, but I got pulled over, and it was such a, it felt like crap. It was a motorcycle. I was a motorcycle cop the last 5 years, and it just felt, it's such a crappy feeling, because you're in this situation where you're totally, you're just a regular person. You didn't do it with any bad intentions, but now you're totally subject to their discretion. And hopefully the officer is fair and decent and isn't just looking to, push their weight around, which I've found most officers are not like that. Most officers I've met are great people that are just trying to do their job. But you don't know. I mean, there's always those ones out there. We've all heard about it. We've all had bad experiences, myself included. So, that's the perspective that the public has on cops, is because of what they're doing for work. I mean, they're in charge of keeping order, and that requires having a strong, authoritative position, command presence, and nobody wants to be being watched by somebody that's got that authority over them. That's human nature.
No, it sucks.
It sucks, but they're the heroes. I mean, these are people that take that on, and it's you got to respect that. You got to stop and look at it in a analytical kind of a way, instead of saying, oh, I hate cops because I met a cop that was a jerk or whatever. You got to look at the big picture on what they're doing. And myself, I mean, I had a number of bad experiences with cops, and I was always have been a law-abiding citizen, but I still had my experiences, and I still was in awe before that was part of why I became a cop, was because I just had so much respect. So yeah, I'll get off my soapbox on that.
Tell you a funny story going way back to when I was 20 years old. I had a buddy of mine who had never had a speeding ticket, yet he was always speeding. And we had a car full of our friends. We're all going to this nightclub out of town, and we get pulled over for doing 65 in a 50 zone in kilometers here. And the comp, just fantastic guy, RCMP member, fantastic guy. And I'm yelling at the cop, give him a ticket. He's never had one. Give him a ticket, right? And the cop's like, where are you guys going? So we tell him the nightclub we're going to. And he's like, nah, you guys are just out for a good time tonight. We're going to let this one go. And my buddy who's beside me, him and I are yelling at the cop, no, give him a ticket. He needs his first one. Take his virginity, damn it. And he just let us. Wouldn't let him walk. Let him walk. My buddy was so pissed at us, but it was one of those good memories that you just brought up.
I don't think that ever happened in my whole career. I don't think that ever happened. I had people laugh at the person that was driving, but never actually rooting for them to get a ticket.
Oh, we had to. We had to. So let's get into your psychic intuition here. When, once Tyson, your dog, passed away, you started recognizing everything. You started seeing things with a little bit more clarity. What shift did you see in yourself and how you were changing, not only as a police officer at this time, but as a human?
Well, the two went hand in hand, actually. Not that I was ever, Mr. Tough, like gnarly, off-putting cop. I always tried to be pretty friendly and caring, but the thing about all of this is that the realization is that there is eternal life. Okay, that we're just souls having a human experience, and like I was saying earlier, that's intuitively, that's the case. But when you start to have actual tangible experiences that prove it undeniably, it changes your perspective. It changes the magnitude of what life is about. It changes the magnitude of how we are all connected. And so, you start to see, this isn't just about this one life. This is about how I'm impacting other people and how they're impacting me, and the love that you have for your friends, for your family, for your pets. It does carry a much bigger weight. It's huge. And it's not just, we live until our checkout day, and then we take a dirt nap, and that's the end of it. So everything, you realize how important everything is. That's the experience that I had. Not that I didn't already feel that way, but it puts it, you always kind of ask, at least I always kind of ask myself, am I just being idealistic here? All this trying to be virtuous and caring and take, is it about me just doing what I was taught, or is it something deeper? And then you start to realize, no, this is a big thing. So then that affects how you, when you're out, when you go into the gas station to buy your gas, how you think of the clerk that you're giving your money to. It changes your whole paradigm, and that then transcends into whatever you do for a living. And in my case, being a police officer, it made it a little easier. I was always pretty empathic and empathetic, just naturally, so it wasn't a huge shift for me, but it became a much more conscious shift, in that I saw everybody really as one with me, and not just in an intellectual way. Like, it was on a deep feeling level. I saw them as just, they're just people like me, and I think it's very easy when you're a cop to, especially if you're working a rough area, it's easy to put that thick skin up around you and start to see people as the enemy, or as I shouldn't say the enemy, but you objectify them a bit, not when you actually start talking to them and taking a report, and you see, how something's actually impacting them. But when you're driving around and you're seeing people, I think a lot of people, not just cops, but people in general, start to see people like cattle, you know, you just kind of objectify them. And so that was the shift that happened in me. And it just allowed me, I think, it changed the energy that I put out when I was interacting with people, and they picked up on that. And I noticed that the people, maybe it also was just a matter of being more experienced and talking to people better too. But I noticed a big shift in that regard. I became a better cop, I think.
Now you look at the fact that you haven't been a police officer since the beginning of this year when you stepped down, and uh, I'm not sure whether the correct term is retired or quit, one of the two, but I don't think it really matters in this conversation. But for you, now that you have had, let's say, the better part of 8.5 months to start to really take focus on who you are as a human, as a spiritual entity, as someone who wants to see what life has to offer in the mysterious ways. What have you learned about yourself in the last 8 months? As we got about 3 minutes to go before we go to break at the bottom of the hour.
Okay. Well, I think I can get this out in 3 minutes. Basically, what I was told by an intuitive one time, that I wasn't going to be able to completely open up until I retired, because I always had you got to have your guard up. You got to be on the defensive all the time when you're working. It's going to be hard for you to let that guard down enough to where you could take it in. And I kind of understood what she was talking about, because you're meditating and you're trying to connect with energy, but what I've come to realize as I've settled in, and I've also been taking classes and studying, the reality is that love, I don't want to sound cheesy here, but love is the answer. Okay. And so in the last 8.5 months for me has allowed me to get back to just, I've had the luxury of being able to just be myself and focus on how I feel about the world and my relationships, and being true to the part of me, frankly, that I let go to a large extent, or at least that I put a thick skin over, probably around the time I was 14 or 15. When you start to go into adulthood, and you brace yourself for for what you have to deal with as an adult. I've been able to get back to the innocence in me, which really what that means is the love, is the caring, and not worrying so much about having a strong defense, just letting my heart go out. And that is, well, that's the key. I mean, that's the key to any metaphysical practice, because that's what it's all about, right? It's all about connecting to oneness and that love that we all have, that we're all connected through. And so for me, the last 8 months, I've been able to kind of to get myself back in resonance with that, more so than I was before.
Well, when we come back from the break here at the bottom of the hour, I want to learn about, how did your wife react to all this? How did your family, your friends, your colleagues react to all of this? Because when you make a decision, we try to make it for ourselves, but everybody always has to have that other say of what is going on in your decision. And I'm curious how that all played out for you, because not everybody is different. It's different to say, hey, I'm going to go back to school. I've always wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer or construction worker or whatever it may be. But it's another thing to say that I'm going to go turn up the woo in my life and really, start to spiritually express myself. That's a big, big change. We're going to learn all about that coming up in the next half hour of our show tonight. So good to be back from my 2-week vacation, more of a staycation. But I got myself out of the basement to interview Brandon Wainwright tonight. We're having a great time. Intuition healing, the full circle, the whole gamut of consciousness. Next on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're back. We're back. That was a quick half hour.
Yeah, it does. It goes by fast. Oof.
Oh, yeah. I got to say thank you to everybody in the chat room so far for your awesome comments, welcoming me back on the air. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much for the love, everyone. The last 2 weeks has been uh I thought I caught up on sleep. I don't think I did, but I was really able to reshift and refocus and get some work done that really needed to be done behind the scenes. And I want to say a big thank you to all of you for allowing me that opportunity to do that. Uh, I didn't never, it's been a few years. I don't even see my son at night, and it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to see what he looks like after 7:30 at night. Turns into this little werewolf. No, I'm teasing. But there's been a lot going on behind the scenes of SOR and with myself personally. And I'm renovating my house. I got holes all over my house. Don't ever renovate a 50-plus-year-old house, people. Okay, especially if you have zero carpentry skills like I do. Okay, don't do it. Just don't. Let's see here. What else can I tell you? I saw a couple of UFOs over the last couple of weeks. I did. And we were out at the gifting site 3 weeks ago. And my buddy Mike and I, and along with my son, kept seeing orbs all through the trees. Nothing Bigfootish. And that was kind of cool. Just these little pop-ups of light coming through. Then the following week, we went back, and I turned my back towards my vehicle for a split second. I was staring up at the sky, and then I turned back not even 3 seconds later, and there were two bright orbs sitting in the sky, and the third one lit up to make the triangle. And I got giddy. I remember leaning over to my buddy Mike. I'm like, dude, there it is. Check it on out. And by God as my witness, the minute I started to pull my phone out of the pocket it was in, they knew. And the bottom two lights disappeared, and the top one faded away like 5 seconds later. But later on that night, we saw another UFO that actually did a zigzag in the air, which was really cool. So we got a double shot, and then we went back this past weekend, and we got to, oh, by the way, that time previous to that, I got a beautiful picture. I'll try and show it here later, but I got a beautiful picture of the space station being followed by a SpaceX rocket. That was really cool. And then we went back this Saturday, had a big fire there. Nothing really happened, except we did count 54 Starlink satellites in a row. That was cool. And then last night, while I was on the phone with, I think it was Nicole Sakic, I was outside and saw Starlink again fly over my house. And right at the last satellite we saw, this bright flashing orb went ripping through the sky. And the funny part about it was I thought it was a jet, but there was no noise behind it. Nothing. And it went from southwest to northwest, and this thing was moving like triple the speed of the Starlink satellites. I don't know what the hell it was, but it is unidentified to me. But yeah, not a single peep of sound or anything. Let's say thank you tonight to Cat Chaser with the hat trick right off the bat. D. Cohen, Mennonite Abe, YJ Overlander, thank you so much for the love with the super chats on my return. Very much appreciated. Give us a thumbs up, everyone, And if you're new, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. Quick shout out to Louis Ta. How are you? Matt Geek, good to see you. And who else jumped in here late? As I'm watching the time here, I think we're good right there. Let's get the second half hour going right now. Hey, Adam Lane, how you doing? Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go. Second half hour. Former police officer Brandon Wainwright, who's gone from wanting to know the who, what, where, when, why to following his woo path. I love it. Love it. Brandon, now residing in Florida. He's the author of a book called Tyson's Gift, which can be found on Amazon. Brandon, welcome back.
Thanks. Good to be back.
Good to have you here. Right before the break, I'd asked you a pretty tough question just regarding your career choices and how the people around you were reacting to this when you said, hey, I'm no longer going to be a police officer. I've decided to change careers here, but I am going to be following my intuitive path, find out my own spirituality. There had to be a lot of people around you, Brandon, shaking their head saying, dude, what are you doing? You're giving up a good career, a good pension, a good lifestyle after you retire, in 20, 25 years. What the hell are you doing with yourself?
Well, the thing is, I left. The reason I left the police was for very specific reasons that were in the best interest of me and my family. So, and it involved things going on in California and that sort of thing. I'll let you guide that if you want to get specific about it. But so as far as the family was concerned, my wife actually left the state for the same reasons I did ultimately. The leaving the police was ultimately, I think it was time for me. I think it was the best thing for me, but it wasn't just because I didn't leave because it was time to get out of law enforcement. I left for other reasons. And so we definitely had people questioning what we were doing, especially out there. And, some of the people I worked with felt that way, but it wasn't because of my dedication to the woo. It was more about the specific reasons I was leaving. I had already been trying to delve into this stuff for a couple of years before that, from the time that I first started having those experiences with Tyson and the things that are detailed in the book. So my coworkers and actually my friends, I definitely didn't hide my fascination with the woo, because like most people that are just getting involved in metaphysics, I was pretty jazzed about it. I wanted to scream out to the world all these things that I was experiencing so that other people could have the same experience as I was, and find that same kind of peace. So people knew about it. What's been difficult for me, I think it's been more my own, I don't know if insecurities is the right word, but like fully coming out of the closet, I guess is the best way to describe it. But, before I was doing it as a spiritual exploration on the side. I still I still was a regular guy. I was still a police officer doing a regular Joe job, supporting my family and doing all that. And with doing Reiki and the other things that I was trying to pursue on the side. Now I'm actually doing it as my focus, and when you do that, and when I made the announcement, on Facebook and said I started this practice, it was much more difficult than any of the other expositions that I had done on myself, because now it's like you've taken this from, hey, I'm doing this kind of on the side, to I believe in it so much, and it's such an important thing to me that I'm now going to do it for a living. And that's a different thing. I mean, I wouldn't have thought it was, but it is. I felt very, very vulnerable, and I still do to some extent. I still have a hard time, reaching out, because I'm trying to stir business up, and so reaching out to friends and wanting to. So I'm kind of choosy as to who I'm gonna reach out to and talk to them directly about it, because I think a lot of people would be kind of, I'm not into that. And I've had, I've even had people like people that I did some pretty significant healings on. When it came time, I asked them for a testimonial. It's always good to have some testimonials, and they're like, then I find out that, well, they don't really want to do it because they're worried about being judged by the members of their church.
Oh my.
Or which is ironic if you actually know what this stuff is about. Or I don't know that it was really the energy healing. Maybe it was, it could have just been coincidence. I'm not gonna put a testimonial about that. Well, you sure as heck were willing to take the healing when you were hurting. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't hurt when they did that. So certainly it's a transition, but it's I can't go back. I mean, like that once you start to see the truth in these things, you can't just turn your back on it. That would be living a lie. So I guess hopefully that answers your question.
No, I fully get where you're coming from right now. I totally understand what you're feeling and what you're doing and everything. And the more you go down this path, the more it opens up to more than just any type of psychic healing or intuition. I mean, at some point you're going to come to a crossroads where things that you might not be used to start showing up. I know for me and many others, immediately when we went into this, our houses became haunted. Have you had that happen around your house where all of a sudden there's dead people lining up making noise?
No, actually, I really haven't. I had lots of haunted encounters before this, but I think, well, first off, if with the type of work that I'm doing, it's drawing in the light. So the stuff that's going to come in is or the spirits that are going to come in are going to be positive. So even if they're, you know, when you say haunted, I mean, I think it'll be spirits that maybe they need some help. It's not so much that they're trying to do any harm. But I have a friend who I grew up with that I'm doing energy healing for from a distance. He and his wife live in Arizona, and and it's benefited them quite a bit. But just this last week, they called me up on the phone, kind of nervous, like and they said that their dog started watching something, and like looking up at the wall, and the dog is clearly tracking something, and there's a spirit in the house, and they don't know what it is, and it's making them really uncomfortable. And they're like, is it because of the energy healing? Do you think that's what's drawing it in? And I can't say that it's not, but it's not. I don't think it would be an evil thing. it would be maybe they're drawn towards that light. And so, but they were nervous about it. So I did a distance healing on the house, and it's gone. So, I mean, I haven't had too much of a problem with that. But like I said, I've definitely had experiences in the past with hauntings and things like that. So,
Do you, as you go down this path, is this what you're doing now full time? Is your own spiritual healing and your own spiritual practice?
yeah, I mean, I'm doing it. I wouldn't say that I'm working 40 hours a week, but yeah, that's what I'm doing. I've got a spiritual practice that I started in April. Prior to that, I did for years. All I did was free healings for people, and I want to do it on a more significant level. In order to be able to do that, you have to start charging, and it's been a process. Initially, I think most healers will tell you, when you first start to make a business out of it, it doesn't feel right. The idea that you're charging people money to heal them, that's not why you started doing it. So it feels a little bit, I shouldn't say dirty, but there's some conflict there, but it's slowly growing, very slowly. And I'm hoping that it continues to.
Now, for you, now that you've chosen this path, what do you want out of it? What's it for you? Because we all want to help people. That's why I got a radio show. I want to help people learn about these amazing topics that are out there that are still quite taboo to the modern public.
Yeah.
That's my selfishness, or that's what I do publicly. But my selfishness is I want answers to my own experiences, and I have an opportunity to potentially interview people to help me along my own path. So for you, what's in this for you personally?
You and I are very close. We're really on similar paths. For me, my goal is just to do my part in normalizing, if you will, the stuff. Exposing people, like my book. If the whole idea behind it is here I am, this regular Joe, completely ordinary guy, no woo woo or anything, and I have all these experiences that prove to me without question that there's life after death, and also, pretty cool story about a connection with a dog. Right. But the reason, aside from memorializing my beloved dog's life and my connection to him, the main reason I wrote that book was to help other people and expose them, to just at least break the ice, to help to inspire them to go on their own search. And so through the healing, I mean, I've had some pretty awesome healings that have happened, but that's when I stop and think about it sometimes. Is that really why you're doing it? Is it for the healing? Well, yes and no. I certainly want to help people with whatever it is that they're struggling with, but I want them to be helped by spirit, and for them to see it and experience it, and know that there's more, And the challenge there is that, at least where I'm at right now, is that most people aren't going to be open to it, at least not enough to where they're willing to invest in it, the skin in the game type of thing, unless they're already kind of believers, right? They might not be full believers, but they're, at least they're open. So that's why, like with my friends, I keep telling them, I charge them just a little tiny bit, just enough to where they've got a little bit of skin in the game, but not enough to where they're going to lose anything, and it's just to expose them, and so they can see how real it actually is. And I when I was a cop still, I can't tell you how many conversations I got with people, some of whom I was writing a ticket to about this stuff. I had one lady that I wrote a ticket to, and I felt really bad, because especially after we had this conversation about all this stuff, and I still had written her the ticket, and I said, listen, I'm just doing my job here, but I think you're a good person, and I really, I want to do something nice for you. So if you email me your address, I will send you a copy of my book. And I did, and she ended up reading it and then giving it to somebody else who then reached out to me. So, the connections come in weird places, but like you, that's my goal is to connect with other people and just share with them what I have to offer as a healer, but also the experiences and the love and the information, opening them up to our eternal nature. On the selfish side, I mean, come on, you can't help but get a big rush when you heal somebody.
I know.
It's like a couple weeks ago, a friend of mine who I live in, I'm in Florida, he's up in Illinois, and he had a bout with Crohn's. And Crohn's is one of those things that comes and goes, and you get those flare-ups. And he asked me for healing because he had a flare-up, and I called him back when I was done, and he goes, "Dude, it's gone." I can't, when that's something like that happens, it's pretty bitching. It's bitching not just because the person said, "Wow, you're feeling better." That's it makes you feel good because you helped them, but it's also bitching because it's like, wow, this is some powerful stuff. It's just very uplifting and validating, and so the selfish part of me is on an exploration, to see how much I can accomplish and develop in my intuitive and healing abilities. But mostly I just kind of want to leave my small footprint of goodness and helping people. That's it. I'm 49 years old. I probably have another 35, 40 good years left in me, and give or take. And
what edition of 73 are you? What edition of 73?
What
month of 73?
June.
I got you by a month. June what?
15th.
Yeah, I got you. I'm May 24th. So
are you Gemini?
I'm Gemini too. I am Gemini too.
So what's the first day? Are you that means you're on a cusp, right?
I'm on the cusp with Taurus.
Because I'm on the cusp with Cancer.
Yes.
So that's cool. So no wonder.
I gotta ask you though, and I will be kicking myself in the butt if I don't. The lady you sent your book to, after you gave her a ticket, how much did you write her up for speeding?
Well, it wasn't a speeding ticket. It was for I patrolled the regional park system. So, and this particular park was in Oakland, California, and it was in a resource protection area where dogs are required to be on leash. And it's a very sensitive area that we have a lot of problems with people ignoring the rules. Signs, just every so many feet they have a sign, so we don't give a lot of warnings. So yeah, that's what I wrote her for, was a dog off leash. So we're talking about her dog, and this dog is like a nice dog, and I'm petting the dog and loving on the dog. And even though I wrote a lot of dog off leash tickets, believe it or not. I'm a dog lover through and through, but I wrote a lot of dog off leash tickets. But that's it's one of those things. I wrote plenty of speeding tickets too in my day, but that was one of those things.
What's a good dog off leash ticket going for?
Well, in the Bay Area, I've heard they went up actually, but when I was there, it was close to $300.
Are you kidding me?
American.
That's like Vancouver. We're gonna have to confirm with Merle on Wednesday night about this.
I wish that they weren't so expensive, because but that's what they were. I mean, there was nothing I could do about it.
I hear you. Here's my book as consolation. Read it and weep, ladies. Read it.
Well, she actually did follow up with me, and she didn't hold it against me. So I guess she understood once I explained everything. But Yeah. I tell you what, just for for people that scoff at the cops that do that kind of patrol. When I first became an officer, I worked for California State Parks, which is so I was state park police. And I talking to the rangers before I actually went in, and I'm saying, it's, seems like a pretty cool job. You're out there in this beautiful area, and and they're like, yeah, no, it's pretty cool most of the time, but I'll tell you what, those dog off leash site contacts are rough. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Of all the things that that a cop deals with, that's really what's going to be a stressful. It is by far the most stressful thing that I did in my career. And I dealt with murder. I dealt with heavy drugs. I dealt with those dog off leash tickets. They might not generally be dangerous because the people aren't necessarily going to attack you, but you talk, because they take, the problem is it's something in their mind trivial, right? And they think that you're being officious, and they take it personal. That's the problem. And so it gets very volatile very quickly. And so in terms of being able to deal with people, those hopefully I'm not pissing off your audience. So, but
no, we're just gonna call you that guy.
Yeah.
That guy.
No.
That guy.
For what it's worth, I was doing my job. I didn't enjoy writing tickets. I did it because it was my job, but it's one of those things.
Brandon, we got 2.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Brandon Wainwright is our guest. For you, intuitively speaking, I mean, listening to the passion in your voice, you still get quite amazed when you're able to help guide someone down a proper path. Is that just because this is still new to you? Have you figured out how you're doing it yet?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I've taken the healing modalities that I offer. I've learned from other teachers. So, I've learned how it works with me. I've learned, how the energy, what it feels like as it's going through me, mentally and spiritually, where I need to be in order to be a good conduit. Because the reality is I'm not doing the healing. Spirit's doing the healing and using me as a channel. Right. So yeah, I hopefully that answers your question. I've definitely, I've figured that out, and I've added little subtle things too, that, and I've actually, I know people with other modalities that I've teamed up with, where we work on somebody at the same time, and I assist them. I use my energy to assist them in what they're doing, which is pretty cool.
Well, when we come back from the break, let's learn how you do this. All right, I want to know how you heal someone, or what that's like. How you embark on this path of entering someone's own, soulful consciousness to heal what's wrong, and because look, a lot of people will call this snake oil, and I don't mean that to be rude, because I think you're a pretty genuine guy who isn't going to want to pull the wool over people's eyes, But I mean, there's a lot of risk going into something like this, with and putting your own reputation and humanity on the line, and I would love to get into that with you when we return on Spaced Out Radio, hour number 2. Brandon Wainwright is our guest. He's got a great book called Tyson's Gift that you could check out on Amazon. Go get yourself a copy. It's absolutely amazing. From police officer to woo healer. I love it. Brandon Wainwright, really good guy. Highly suggest you check him on out. Yeah, he's SOR approved. We'll tell you that right now. Spaced Out Radio continues with hour number 2, and we'll take audience questions if you're in our chat room next. All right. right, we're clear. Now we're 2 down. Hi, Katie Moonbeam Page. How you doing? Good to see you, Katie. All right. Dirty Filth, you ready to take over here? Brandon, we got about 6 minutes here.
Okay.
You can hang out. You can hang out with Dirty Filth and ask him questions about his art if you want.
Is he drawing dirty pictures?
We don't know yet. Let's take a look.
We'll have to find out.
Here, we'll take a look here. What do you got for us, Phil?
Page 1. We got page 2.
Oh, a double shot tonight.
Oh, yes.
I'll be right back.
Dave's going to be right back.
So what was it? What inspired this new addition to the show?
Well, we basically got tired of looking at Dave's chair. So Dave's like, well, Dirty Filth, can you come on and draw cartoons? I go, yeah, sure, why not? I'm drawing cartoons anyways. Except
Cool.
now I have to. I
Now
gotta
you
talk
have to
every
draw
once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Plus
I'm always
you
drawing cartoons, but now I gotta, and I also have to make sure I don't swear or anything or belch. I've famously done that a few times, and it's only been a couple months. So,
Do you usually focus on, like Bigfoot and that sort of thing, or do you draw whatever?
I've drawn whatever. I actually have intellectual property for a cartoon character that I draw, but he's a super anti-hero and not safe for work, so I never really talk about it. But nonetheless, I just like drawing like the UFO and Sasquatch and things like that. I've always been into that since I was a kid. So I drew Dave a cartoon years ago. He's like, hey, you want to draw a cartoon for us once a week? And I went, sure. And then eventually we decided that we could, like, hey, Dirty Filth, whiskey. It's my cat, sorry. I apologize. She's a grump. But
wants your
we're
attention.
like, hey, well, we'll just draw cartoons on there. And then so I started drawing cartoons, and everyone liked watching the cartoons. And sometimes my cats pile on the table or incessantly meow. I can't help it. It comes with the territory.
Yeah. Spontaneous.
Anyways, I'm rambling. I apologize.
No. I asked. You ever draw scenes from your favorite movies?
Actually, not movies, but I have done a few cartoons from the Malazan series. It's a book series, like super high fantasy, gritty stuff. And I've done a couple cartoons from that. Shared it with some Facebook groups, and everybody had a chuckle at it, so it worked out good. Not too much for movies, though. Mostly books. I read a lot of books.
Reading is good.
Books and cartoons, mostly. Or comic books, rather. And the occasional cartoon, like Ren and Stimpy, things like that. Always influential.
What about South Park?
South Park's great because those guys, but the thing they inspire me the most about is they get an entire episode done in a week from like top to bottom. And that amount of like turnover time to make a cartoon's
That's incredible. Cool. I didn't even know that. Wow.
I only recently learned about that, so it's kind of a new thing for me too.
They're so prolific. It blows me away. I think it's been since 1996, 7 since they started. And to be able to keep making stuff that's that funny consistently, I tip my cap to them, to say the least.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's always interesting because they dig on current things, and they do it in such a sly way that you just, like you said, you got to tip your hat to them. Most people probably couldn't come up with a cartoon or something like that. And
there was an episode that I just recently discovered. It's the you familiar with the one where they're cheesing with the cat, they're sniffing the cat pee?
Yes.
I saw that a couple months ago, and when they start going into the psychedelic scenes where they're tripping, I about fell out of my chair. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah. I'd like to sit there for a week and just watch them do their work and just absorb that like a fungus or a sponge or something.
How about you, Dave? You know which episode we're talking about?
What's that?
The episode of South Park where they're cheesing, where they're sniffing the cat pee and they it's like LSD. No,
because they got the heavy metal in there and everything. And
yeah, it's so good. It's called Major Boobage. I was trying to think of what the name of it is. That's the name of the episode.
I love South Park. I love South Park. All right, let's say a quick hello to J Don, Jessica S. Thank you for coming on in, and Alex Kuhn. Good to see you back. And let's see here. Who else is joining us? We're about 15 seconds away. Dirty Filth, we'll get you to mute. You've already done that. Thank you tonight to YJ, Mennonite Abe, D. Cohen, and Cat Chaser with a natural hat trick of super chats. Let's make it happen here on Spaced Out Radio. Here comes hour number 2. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up here. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 on Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Camisol. Camisol is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. All right, here we go. Hour number 2. Brandon Wainwright is our guest. He's the author of Tyson's Gift. And after 12 years of serving as a police officer, he is now using his own intuitive skills to help people and potentially heal them. So let's get Brandon right back here. You can find his book on Amazon. Brandon, welcome back.
Thank you, Dave. Oh, by the way, my website is tysonsgift.com. And you can get the book there if you want. And the healing website is tysonsgifthealing.com. Just a little plug there.
That's all right. We'll let that go. We'll let that go. Cut me right off. That's okay. That's okay. I'm having fun with you.
I figured you'd be cool with it.
Oh yeah, of course. Hey, I want to ask you, getting into this, okay, when you first figured out that you could help people potentially heal them from their inner pain, inner child, inner soul, how did you figure out that you could do that?
Well, the first step that happened with me was once I started to realize that this was real, my first step was to learn Reiki. I was looking for a way to expand, and I'd started meditating, and it was all completely new to me. And I had a friend at work who had recently retired, another animal lover, and she had studied Reiki, and she suggested that I do it. So I learned Reiki, and I quickly realized that I had a strong ability with it, as far as being able to physically feel the energy and channel it. And so I just kept working with it and experimenting, hey, you got a hurt arm, can I send you some Reiki, or can I work on your arm a little bit, or you got a headache, you want me to try and heal it, and that sort of thing. that's really how it stayed at that level for a couple of years. The nice thing about energy healing, a lot of it is that you can, spiritual energy isn't governed by geography or time, and so you can send it to people. It gets there faster than the speed of light. So it's cool because you don't have to physically be in the room with them, and you can practice as much as you want, as long as people are willing to let you. You need to respect that boundary. But so what I found was that I don't necessarily think I have a strong ability with it, but I don't think I'm unusual. Most intuitives that I've met are do energy healing as well. I don't know how powerful they are or whatever. They don't share their experiences with me necessarily, but most of them do. And you just you see that the good that it does in people, whether it actually heals them of a physical ailment, or it takes, say they're really stressed out about something, it takes the stress away, helps them to be able to sleep better. In my wife's case, she hates it when I talk about this, but when she was going through menopause, and when I first learned Reiki, she would have hot flashes, and I would just grab her hand and the hot flash would go away, just like that. And so being able to help her with like that was really cool, and you see, wow, can do this. And why would you not expand on that if you know that you can help people? So for me, that's how it started. And then since then I've learned, I've been actually taking classes at there's actually an in-person spiritual university in northern Georgia called Delphi University. And so I've been taking classes there, and I've learned several new more modalities, and it's really helped me to expand spiritually, because to go deeper, you got to go deeper. You got to dig deeper into yourself, and you realize that, wow, there's going down the rabbit hole. There's a lot there. So that's pretty much what's happened with me, is that I've just, I realize that I can actually do it. So why not keep going?
So for you, as you've gone down this path and you've learned to do Reiki, I'm a big believer and a big fan of Reiki. I really am. And I've helped people as well. It's amazing.
Are you a Reiki practitioner?
No, I just learned how to do it.
Well, then you're a Reiki practitioner, right?
I don't like considering myself that.
If you use it to help people, you're a practitioner. It doesn't mean you don't do what?
I don't do it often.
Well, it doesn't mean. Yeah, but you got 2 full-time jobs. That doesn't mean you're not a healer.
But here's the thing. I remember in one of my most stressful times of my life, I was walking hunched over. I was depressed. My anxiety was at an all-time level. I wasn't sleeping at night. My back was like literally killing me every day. My partner, she's in Reiki and she's a Reiki healer. And she goes, let me try this on you. And I was like, I don't want any of that crap. Don't believe in it. You can't do that. That doesn't work. She's like, just shut up and let me try. I was like, okay. She started about 6 feet away from me. She goes, can you feel my hands? I'm like, no. She walked up a little bit more. She goes, can you feel my hands now? I'm like, no. Walked up a little closer, and I was screaming. And I started yelling at her, like, get your hands off my back. It was a little bit more colorful than that. And she's like, I'm not touching you. I'm like, what do you mean you're not touching me? She goes, turn around. And I was in a swivel chair, and I turn around, and she's still 2.5 feet behind me, like her hands. Now her body is another, 7-8 inches away. And that's where I knew, like, holy cow. And she started pulling these what she called knives out of my back. And I'll tell you, I never slept so well as I did that night.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
It was powerful. It was very powerful. And ever since then, I'm to the point now where all she has to do is if I'm not feeling good or if I'm overtired, all she has to do is put her hands on my feet, because that's your grounding part.
Hmm.
And within 3 minutes, I am in the deepest sleep that is unknown, like, to me, because I don't
Gosh.
sleep very well.
So
So it,
she's quite
oh yeah,
talented then. Yeah.
very, very. And so it was quite a learning experience of learning, how powerful Reiki can be, whether you're getting it from somebody from a distance. I have people, including people in our chat room, Kira in our chat room, where if she feels I need Reiki, she just sends it. She'll send me a text message. She'll be like, "Hey, I'm picking up this stuff. Would you like some Reiki?" I'm like, "Yes, please." You know, like, send it, send all of it. Send the army of Reiki knots over to Dave to clear me out. But that's how powerful it truly is. And it's an amazing gift. It really is.
Yeah. And it's a gift for everybody. It's not like what it's when I first learned it, it was like it was first off, it was hard to believe that I was actually doing it. And then you'd be saying, "Ooh, I can do this." Because it's so for most people, myself included, the ego is a thing you constantly battle, right? So yeah, I wanted to help people, but my ego was involved a lot in the beginning. It took a long time to work through it, actually. Like, and I'm still, I'm not going to say that I'm not still working through it to some extent. But you're you're asking yourself, well, is it something I'm doing? Am I a good Reiki practitioner? Am I doing this all right? Well, and the reality is it's not you, it's coming from spirit. So anybody that is aligned with that resonates with wanting to channel healing energy can do it. It's as simple as that. I'm
Right.
not special. It sounds like your partner's is quite powerful. Like she's a really good conduit, or channel. But anybody that decides they would like to do this can. And at least with Reiki, and I mean the other modalities that I've learned, I think they're a little more involved, but they're basically the same thing. If you want to do that kind of work, anybody can do it.
So explain to people then, before we get into some audience questions here, explain to people then how they accept it. Like, if you're saying down in Florida and I'm up here in British Columbia, there's almost 4,000 miles between us. How can, our good friend Brandon down in Florida all of a sudden heal Dave up in British Columbia?
Well, like I was saying, spiritual energy isn't governed by geography or time. It's quantum. It's a quantum physics. So what I try, the reality is you put your hand up. Okay, I've got the solid hand here. The reality is that 99% of that hand is clear and just empty space, right? Things aren't what they appear to be. And that, I think, being able to wrap your brain around that's the first thing you have to understand, is that what we perceive is only a small part of the big picture. And energy and thought travel faster than light. And so if you when thoughts are actual things, right? So if my thought is, my intention is that I want to heal you of something that's going on with you, and I send my love and healing to you from 4,000 miles away, it's going to get to you like that. It's where the reality is, we're right next to each other, just like the different planes of reality are right on top of each other. The astral plane is right here, but you can't perceive it because our vibration is different. It's a slower vibration. So if you think of it in those terms, the energy is able to, is like right now, I can see you on my screen and I'm talking to you. You can see me. the energy that I'm sending, that when you do energy healing, is moving faster than the signal that's making it possible for us to see each other. It literally works that way. What's hard is that we don't, we know, and we know because of the results that this stuff exists. And there's, if they were looking at atoms atoms under a microscope, and there were electrons that actually disappeared and reappeared, right? Because their vibrations sped up fast enough to where they no longer were visible, and they went out of the physical plane, and then slowed down and came back into the physical plane. So existence is very different from what we perceive. And I, for people that don't believe it, I get it, because it took me a long time to fully understand it. The reason I was open to it was when I first learned Reiki. The first level, the program that I went through, you learned level 1, which is the hands-on, and then level 2, which is distance. They're two separate classes. So I took level 1 several months before level 2. So I worked with it, hands-on, before I took that leap into saying, okay, I'm going to be able to send this distance. The way I thought of it was, okay, if this energy is not coming from me, and I don't think it is, I'm just Joe Schmo human, but I'm able to do these healings on people. If clearly that's not coming from me, it's coming from spirit. And if I can channel it through myself, why couldn't I channel it to somebody that's far away from me?
Makes a lot of sense.
Isn't it the same? It's still hard to wrap your brain around, though, because your logical left brain, physical oriented mind is saying, no, that's not the reality that I know. And so it's one of those things where you have to, at least in my experience, you have to keep working with it, and having it, and experiencing it, and seeing the results of it, and feeling the energy before you're gonna get full buy-in. You can believe in it theoretically and spiritually, have a knowing, and jump in. But I think there's that skepticism is a natural part of the process. And I think it's a healthy part of the process, actually, too. I mean, you got to be a critical thinker. Otherwise, you're going to get duped into whatever. But you can be a critical thinker and still have it be reinforced and reinforced and reinforced. It's just a matter of being open-minded.
Makes a lot of sense. Let's get some audience questions here, if you don't mind, because they are starting to pile up, Brandon.
That's a good sign, right?
It is. Let's start off with Holly here. Have you ever used flower essences after a session?
No, I don't. I haven't used it, but I certainly know people that do, and I know that they're very powerful. There's one modality I recently learned, and it's not a requirement necessarily, but they taught us to use rose oil when we're working on with this particular, touching the third eye. That's part of this modality. And it does, I think it because the flowers have a certain vibration, and so having those vibrations that are in that they're parallel to what the same vibrations of your chakras, that's going to help you be in a more healthy state. So I haven't personally learned it, but I know people that have, and I know it's powerful. So good question.
All right, let's move on to another one. This one from Wes, which is, let's get to this one here. This is the full question. What was the strongest reaction someone you have healed has had?
I think the one that I always point to, I mean, I've had like a couple weeks ago. Well, I had the Crohn's one a couple weeks ago, and then a few weeks prior to that, I was at a psychic fair, and there was a gal there that had blindness in one eye, and it was one of those situations where she would go blind, and then it would come back, but it was degenerative, and it seemed like it was just getting worse and worse and worse. So I did a healing on her, and about a week later, her grandmother, who she was with, emailed me and told me that that she hadn't had anything like that. It had been completely good eyesight ever since she saw me. So I don't know what's happened since, but I took that to be pretty powerful. When I first, this is just to show you that it's not the practitioner necessarily. It's the energy. When I first learned distance Reiki, my friend's daughter, so I was just experimenting, but I found out just before I got the attunement that my friend's daughter had chronic migraines. This is when we were still in California and they were in Ohio, and chronic migraines to the point where she had dropped out of school, quit her job. Her whole life was falling apart. She was in college and she just couldn't go to the classes because she was having these debilitating migraines every day. And so I asked, hey, I'm getting this attunement. Would it be okay if I start sending this energy to her? And she says, oh yeah, that's so sweet. Like not really buying it. And so as soon as I started sending, like literally as soon as I started sending, the migraine stopped. And it had been going on for years and just getting worse and worse. And she had tried medical methods to get rid of it, and, diet and exercise and those sorts of things. She had one more 10-minute migraine and that was it, gone. And sadly, she's one of the ones that wouldn't give me a testimonial. So, but that goes to show you though, that, that it's not, I mean, I was just learning and I was able to do that healing on her. So that was really something. There was one I did on a dog. That's one of my favorite stories. When I was on patrol, I was on my motorcycle and I pulled into one of the parking lots. We had a lot of car burglaries in, and there was a volunteer that had her dog there. She would do volunteer walking patrol, and her dog, it was a cattle dog, and he was having hip problems real bad to the point where he couldn't even really go on hikes. And she told me, hey, I just came from the vet, got a bunch of medicine. I'm hoping it helps him. And I said, and that day, for whatever reason, my hands were just buzzing all day, just had lots of energy flowing through them. I wasn't even trying to channel it. It was just, zzz, So I said, hey, I'm a Reiki master. Are you familiar with Reiki? And she was. She actually had a practice that she went to, and so I said, would it be all right if I worked on him for a minute? And so I got down on my knees and just held his hips for probably, it wasn't even 5 minutes, I would say. And right away she could see the reaction as soon as the energy started to flow. She says, oh, he likes that. And when I was done, I mean, it warmed my heart. Anytime you work on animals, to me, it warms my heart, because they're just all love, right? So this dog jumps up when I'm done and goes and jumps into the back of her van, full agility, like nothing was wrong. And she says, well, he's feeling a lot better. About 2 weeks later, she texts me and she says, I just want to let you know that he has been his loud, normal self ever since you worked on him, and I never had to give him any medicine.
Beautiful.
Which was pretty awesome, and that those types of stories, any healer that does this stuff on a regular basis, I'd say, is going to have these types of stories, because it's just part of the deal.
Brandon, I'm going to hold on right there. We got a bunch of questions from our audience lined up for you for the next half hour. And we got a new feature out that we're going to start with you tonight. It's called Dave's Top 5. What it's about, we don't know. We'll figure it out when we get to it, because I don't even know what we're going to do, but we'll figure it out.
Cool.
Brandon Wainwright is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. You can grab his book at tysonsgift.com. Check him on out. We're having a great time with my man Brandon. We're going to get to your questions as well. Try and fit them all in. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio when we return. Stay tuned. Rock and roll, man. Rock and roll. Half an hour to go here.
Do you still play the sound of the thunder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the hour.
Okay. I guess I missed it.
Oh, it'll come up here in 5 minutes. That's actually a tribute. The thunder is a tribute to Art Bell. That's why we do it.
Oh, and that makes sense where it's from, right? Coast to coast.
Yeah, well, we didn't steal it off coast to coast. We found something a little bit similar, kind of like we don't want to forget the direction of how this all started. And sometimes you have to hide some nostalgia inside the radio show.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, that your show is every bit as good.
Well, thank you.
So,
Thank you.
and for the people that are listening, I told you this story, I think, but after I went on the show the first time, I kept listening, and I was a motorcycle cop, and at the end of the day, I would kind of start, because where I worked there was parks in 2 counties, so I could kind of, as I was working towards my house, I could take a while, and just kind of hit parks on the way as I went. And I had Bluetooth in my helmet, so I would listen to the show from the night before on my helmet as I was driving. And there were times where I realized, I just missed that radio transmission because I was too busy listening to Dave. Because it'd come in one ear for the radio, and then the other one would be what I was listening to. But it was cool.
Blame me.
Yeah.
When in doubt, blame Dave. That's all you got to do.
I think I would have had to hide that one. I must have been in a dead spot.
When in doubt, blame me. What the hell, eh? What the hell?
Oh, I see that. Is there a picture of Tyson? That's Tyson. I just saw that picture the question pop up. That's Tyson.
Good doggy. Good doggy.
I don't know if you can see it good. I don't even have. I've got a copy of the book here.
Hold on. Dirty Filth has something there. He gets all the books.
So that's a better where you can kind of see him a little bit. A little Chiweenie. 3/4 Chihuahua, quarter Dachshund.
Mine was a half and half. Her name was Zero. Yeah.
I think you were telling me about her. Yeah.
Yeah. She died exactly the way that she would want to. We lost her, 2-3 years ago? Yeah, 2-3 years ago already.
So hard.
And she had, I think she had a heart attack while eating. She wasn't doing very well. But she, the one thing that she loved was eating. And then she was having a hot dog, a broken up hot dog. And, she just kind of fell down, and I heard the scream. I run upstairs and digging the hot dog out of her throat, giving her, CPR. She just, you know what? I tried my best, but damn it, she went the way she wanted to go.
Yeah.
She loved eating human food. Okay. And that's the way she went. I don't think she could have called it better for herself. And it was funny because that night, or it was either that night or the night after, I finished up the radio show. Yeah, because she passed away on the weekend. I finished up the radio show, and I went upstairs into bed because she used to sleep on my bed. I went upstairs into bed, and I had to ask her to move because I could see her on the bed. And I watched her get up and take a couple of steps and then vanish. It was friggin' awesome. Hold on right there. Want to say a big thank you to Mennonite Abe, D. Cohen, YJ, and Cat Chaser with the hat trick of super chats tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Here we go with the next half hour. Past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, we bring in Brandon Wainwright. He's the author of Tyson's Gift, and he's talking about all of this really awesome healing he is doing on people and finding his own spirituality as well, Tyson. TysonsGift.com or TysonsGiftHealing.com are the websites. And Brandon, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right. Let's get right to audience questions here. Katie wants to know, have you ever had an ET contact or sighting? Didn't we just talk about this?
Yes, we did. Yes. But I didn't have, what are the different kinds, the third kind and the second kind, and I've been on a UFO tour in Sedona, Arizona, with Melinda Leslie, who's a friend of the show. And the night we went, we probably saw, by the way, it's an amazing thing. She gives you night vision goggles, and you go up to this high point in this park that's on the edge of town. And Sedona is an international dark city, so there's not a lot of light, fluorescent lights around the city, so it's very dark. But you can see a lot of stars anyway. But then you put the night vision goggles on, and it's like you took sand and sprinkled it over a glass table. It's like really, really heavy. And we probably saw about between 25 and 30 UFOs that night. And I remember it was really funny because while she's kind of doing her opening spiel, it was dusky still. It wasn't even completely dark. And I'm watching the sky as she's explaining it. And I saw she was talking about satellites, like saying, in case you're thinking they're satellites, in terms of the official government satellites that we've tracked during a tour, the most we've ever seen is 8. And I said, well, I've seen 8 just in the time you've been giving this opening spiel. And she goes, yeah, well, those weren't all satellites. And so then she gave us the goggles, and I saw about 20. My wife, my daughter, and I saw about 25 or 30 UFOs. We saw a double, a triple, which is where you've got 2 flying in formation. We saw a double, and then another one come to the tip of the triangle. And then leave. There's a place over the top of Sedona called the Portal. They call it because it's where ETs come and go. And the way they went is that they're there, and then all of a sudden they disappear. And what's happening is they're flying out of the Earth's atmosphere. So we saw. What was really amazing on that tour was that she gave us lasers, which, as you probably know, you can't shine a laser at a military or civilian airplane. It's against the law. But she's every night she's got all these lasers that she gives out to people, not to like harass the aliens, but to show the other people in the group where you're seeing something, so they could see it. Well, she advised us, if you flash your lights at them, your lasers at them, a lot of times they will interact with you and they'll flash their lights back. So we started doing that every time we saw one. And there was one in particular where it just kept flashing us and flashing us and flashing us. It was really, really cool. And in case you're thinking it was just gas dissipating off of a satellite, well, it takes time for the gases to build up, and satellites can't change directions, and they can't change speed. So it was, I'm sure you've probably seen on documentaries of the Orby looking UFOs, the ones that are like multicolor and they're like, woo, 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 woo. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. I saw one of those that night. It was off the hook. So yes, I've seen at least 25 to 30 of them just in that one time. Probably seen a lot more than that too. But if you're ever in Sedona and you want to check out Melinda Leslie's tour, it is a cool experience.
All right, let's continue on here, as Katie has another question for you. Brandon, do you use sound healing too?
Yes, I do. That's one of the modalities that I use. That's one where you can't really do it over a distance. But I use tuning forks and toning. So the idea behind that is that your chakras, they move at they vibrate at a certain frequency, and there's the different notes of the scale are in line with, or in sync with that frequency. So using tuning forks and also voice toning, you can actually get your chakras to get like recalibrated by basically making sound that's in the same frequency as them. It allows them to get back on track. But people really like the color and sound because and the color too. So you use pomanders, or you can use pomanders, where the pomanders they're basically they're oils that have a certain scent. And the scent, it's funny because you smell them and it smells like the color, and the color also is in a frequency that's in line with the chakras. So, but what's really cool about it is that you can physically feel it, because sound vibrations. So you can really feel those vibrations as they're moving through your body. And I happen to have a pretty, powerful voice when I want to. And so I can make people vibrate pretty good with my voice. So yeah, it's really fun. That's a really cool modality.
All right, let's continue on here. Hilton would like to know, how do you know if you are able to do Reiki or not? Is there obvious signs?
Well, I would say the obvious sign is that people benefit from it. Yeah, I mean, with me, well, I found most people that if you practice it for any length of time, you start to know what the energy feels like. And when I first learned it, I didn't really know. Like I was working on people and I don't know if I'm feeling anything. I don't know if they're feeling anything. But the more I did it, I started to feel electricity coming through my hands. And now I really feel it. I can tell when the energy's flowing or not. And so that's one sign is that you physically feel it. Now, in my case, it's electricity. Sometimes it's just buzzing. Sometimes it feels like really strong electricity. Sometimes it feels like beads of electricity moving through my fingers. It just depends on what's going on. But I would say the main thing is that the person gets a benefit out of it. And what I've found too is that a lot of times what you're feeling, they feel something completely different. Like you'll hear people talk about like if your hand as you're working on them is feeling ice cold, and they're feeling it totally like boiling hot, or vice versa. Those are two. That's super common. But it's most of the time, what I feel, they feel. I would say 75% of the time that's how it's worked for me. But like, for example, today I did a healing, and the energy, I mean, it went, I mean, just buzzing, and then it stopped. And so I thought usually that's an indication that it's run its course, and it's that area of the body has gotten enough energy. And when I was done, the person didn't get helped that much, which is really unusual. So you just, you got to just kind of go with it and trust that spirit is doing what's best for them. You always ask for what's in their highest good when you do a healing.
All right. TMI is asking, where does the power come from? Who is spirit?
Well, what what Reiki means is universal life force energy, or spiritually guided life force energy. So it's prana, chi, ki. That's basically what it is. It's a universal energy that has its own intelligence. It knows where to go. It knows what to do. And you just have to open your heart and be willing to channel it through you. It's an energy of light. So it's coming from the most positive place. There's no darkness here. You don't have to worry about it coming from an evil place or anything like that. There's no strings attached. But as far as, there's different, I have a modality where I actually work with specific spirits, with actual spirit doctors that are in the astral plane, that come through and work on the etheric body, which then manifests the results manifest in the physical body. But in the case of Reiki, that is literally what it means, is the universal life force energy. So it's all right, good.
Before we go to the next question, you got to tell me about these astral doctors. Are they aliens? Are they spirits? Do they have their MDs?
What's the question?
Well, just it's a follow-up question to what you said. You go to the ethereal to get a lot of these, a lot of the, spiritual doctors. Are they, are they spirit? Are they alien?
No, in my case, they're three. I've got four, which is, I guess, a fairly high number. But three of them are. One of them's a nurse that's crossed over. One of them's a surgeon that's crossed over. Another one, I'm not 100% sure. I think she's a veterinarian, but I'm not 100% sure. And the other one is a master teacher, spiritual master teacher. So, what's really interesting is when I learned this modality, I did a it's, for lack of a better word, it was a guided meditation with the instructor where I went to meet who my spirit doctors were. And I am not particularly psychic. I've learned how to use my intuition. I know that I do have clairvoyance because I've actually done a lot of exercises in that school where I take classes to learn that I do, and that it is accurate. But the first person that I met was a surgeon, and the reason I knew he was a surgeon is because he was in scrubs. I saw this guy in scrubs, and my instructor was like, "That's good. That's what I'm seeing." And then the next one I saw was the nurse, and the nurse was wearing a classical white nurse's outfit, blonde hair. What's really interesting about this is that a few months later, I had a reading done by somebody completely unconnected to that class, knew nothing about it, and she was seeing different spirit guides that I have that are attached to me, and the first two that she said was a surgeon and a nurse. So, very, very cool. So, what I've been told, the spirit doctors they're not necessarily an MD. They're somebody that's in the astral plane that wants to assist in healing in the physical plane. So they're still serving and playing out karma, working on their own karma by serving and helping those of us in the physical plane.
All right, let's burn through a couple more questions before we get to the top 5. Toe Tag is asking, what role do Reiki weird symbols play in healings? Are symbols just a part of the ritual?
Well, no. What the symbols come into play. They have specific properties attached to them. So you use certain symbols for certain, like there's a symbol, for example, for distance. There's a symbol that you use to connect to a person when you're doing distance Reiki. There's a symbol for emotional problems, for that type of healing that you're trying to do, working on something spiritual and emotional. There's a symbol for power, like helping people get into their power. So that would be, it'd probably be really good working on their root and on their solar plexus, things like that. So they have their aspects of Reiki that were they've been used and focused on to the point where they've developed into a sentient being. They're actual sentient beings, and that's what the symbol stands for. So that's, of the modalities that I use, that Reiki is the only one that uses those symbols. But the nice thing about the symbols, at least for me, being that I was still very early on in this, not that I'm all that far along, I had my awakening in 2018, but having a specific process to follow, and especially with the distance, because it's so hard to get over that skeptical fence, if you will. Having those symbols, being able to follow that process and then perform it. Well, I did the symbols, I did this, now let's see if it works. You know what I mean? And then you see that it works, and then that's how you kind of start down that path, is that it gives you a specific procedure, which most modalities that people perform, it's not that simple, So I think the symbols are, I think Reiki, if you're trying to get into energy healing, I think Reiki is a great place to start, for sure.
All right, let's go to Eddie. Are there any side effects when using these powers?
Just diarrhea. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, couldn't help that. No, there's not. There's no. It does no harm. It does no harm at all. It's like I said, it's spiritually guided life force energy, and it's only going to do what's in the person that you're treating's highest good. And that's something to consider too. It's real easy to get attached to results and what the outcomes are when you're treating somebody. But one thing to keep in mind with this stuff is, for example, let's say you're trying to heal somebody's stomach ache or something like that. And, actually, let me give you a better example. Let's say you're healing somebody's broken leg, and that broken leg may be playing a role in their spiritual development. That might be part of their walk, is to have that broken leg and have to go through the struggle of being immobile, and maybe they lack compassion. Maybe they have never appreciated what it would be like not to be mobile. And so that broken leg is actually helping them to develop as a soul. Well, in that particular case, if the Reiki, being that it's working for the person's highest good, it's not necessarily going to alleviate that broken leg. It might help them in terms of accepting that broken leg and seeing the lesson that it's meant to teach them, but it isn't necessarily going to physically heal them, because that would not be in their highest good. So side effect, no, but it also isn't necessarily going to achieve the results that you, in your understanding of what's going on, would hope that it would.
Final question before we get to our top 5. Is Reiki healing, from Crystal, like a thought process, like praying, or more like hand movements, or both?
I would say that it's both. It's like prayer in the sense that you're setting an intention, and you're opening yourself up to spirit, and trying to bring that spirit in and direct it towards the person that you're trying to help. But it's also something that you physically channel that energy. So, laying on of hands, or like in the case of your partner, using the hands to send energy across the room. that sort of thing. Yeah, it's definitely both.
All right, Brandon, we got a new feature we're starting here tonight called Dave's Top 5. So I'm going to ask you some 5 random questions, and you just spit them on out the way you want. Let's learn a little bit about you, okay?
Okay.
And now, here is the top 5 questions for our guest tonight. All right, Brandon, playing along with us tonight. We're going to have some fun here. Question number 1 for you, Brandon, is this. As you open up spiritually, what is something you do not want to experience?
I guess that's a damn good question. I'm kind of open to everything. What I don't want is to have an evil spirit attached to me. I guess that's if I know some pretty accomplished and advanced healers who deal with spirits that are evil sometimes and messed up, but they deal with them, and I'm open to that because apparently you can do a lot of good that way. But what I don't want is to bring one home with me. So I guess that's
question number 2. What's the best and worst part about leaving California for Florida?
The best is that I'm now living in a state where freedom is respected, and they actually have common sense, and they're not driving the crime rate through the roof, and and I can have my opinions and speak them without being hated for my opinions. That's the best part about leaving California. The worst part is that I grew up there. Most of my loved ones and friends are still there, and it's a wonderful, beautiful place that I miss dearly. But overall, the benefits outweigh the consequence or the downsides.
All right, question number 3. If you were to come face to face with a Bigfoot, what do you think your reaction would be?
Probably shit my pants. I guess it would depend on the context. If it was like hostile, I probably would be really scared. But what I know of Bigfoot is that Bigfoot's actually a really peaceful, positive species. So I would hope that I would be fascinated.
Question 4. Being a Reiki practitioner, what's the furthest place away you've given somebody Reiki?
I guess Canada. Canada, Alberta, Canada from Florida, I guess is the furthest, but it does,
you're about
they could be on they could be on the moon and it wouldn't matter.
Final question for you. What are you going to do when the aliens come around and the UFOs start showing up?
I'm going to tell people I told you so.
We got 1 minute left with you. Thank you for playing along with the top 5 with us tonight as we're starting a fun little feature like that here on Spaced Out Radio. 1 minute to go. Tell everybody where they can find your book, your healing, and get in touch with you about Reiki.
The book is either one. TysonsGift.com is the book website. And from there, you could go to TysonsGiftHealing.com. There's a button there, or you can just go to TysonsGiftHealing.com. And from there, all of my modalities that I offer are there. You can make an appointment with me there. You can reach out to me via email or phone. And yeah, I hope I'll hear from some people. I'd love to connect.
All right. Brandon Wainwright, always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio.
Same here, Dave.
Very much appreciate it. We will talk very soon because we got some stuff we need to go over, and I think that's absolutely great. I very much appreciate you connecting with us again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Love it.
Coming up next, we're going to head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller tells us a spooky story about Uber. Then little Timmy Senor is back with the UFO report. We got it all coming up in hour number 3 next on Spaced Out Radio. Great show, buddy.
Yeah, I had
Great
so
show.
much fun. You are a great interviewer. You are. I'm not just blowing roses up your butt. You really are good.
Yes. Yes, thank you, my friend. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time with it. Like I said, I do need to talk to you about some stuff away from here. So we'll talk soon, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All
Thanks
right,
for
brother.
having me. I really
All the time.
I mean, it's so fun. Your show is just really fun. I love it.
Right on. Take care.
All right, you too. See ya.
All right. Bye-bye. Brandon Wainwright, everybody. Dirty Filth is coming up in. There's Dirty Filth. And we are going to say hello to you. And take it away with what you're drawing there, Dirty.
Well, it's a second page of the cartoon because I got to go color by color. So that's where we are now. Finishing up the nice yellow. Got the alien beam ready to go. That's all good. That one panel, that's a special panel. We'll get to that one later on. Hold on, I gotta turn my crappy music down. Okay, there we are. All right, back to this guy here. We gotta finish up the drapes and the apple pie. Sasquatch looks like he's trying to steal an apple pie here. Oh, these brushes are just soaked beyond belief. Need to buy a little blow dryer. Put that right off the side. Blow dryer my brushes and make them all nice. Okay, well, we'll do the drapes. What color drapes are we gonna do here? Let's do grandma color grapes. Drapes, whatever. Oh, yeah. So anyways, I was just going to go with the grandmother, slightly blue, a little bit of peach color, but it's just not working out. So I'll have to fandangle with it later. Whiskey's a grump as always. We'll just have to get to that super secret drawing we can do. That's the end of the thing here. Because the man in black's losing his power. Basically, they're like the old style batteries. Work for like half hour, 45 minutes. Call it a day. It's a little too rowdy of a brush. once we get through all the inking, then the comic will make more sense.
Looking good, Dirty. Looking good.
Oh, it is. Here we are. We're going to brush in Man in Black's shorts. He's being carried over Sasquatch's shoulder. He's got the real tight bum and everything to go with it.
Very nice. Kind of like Jack Black's buttocks in Nacho Libre.
Sure.
Excellent. Excellent. Burnt pancakes are good, Terry.
Actually, my pal gave me a pancake maker, and it makes little Dungeons and Dragons characters like goblins and beholders and rogues and warriors and junk. Yeah.
Very nice.
So Mrs. Filth has got all the pancake weirdness she can handle.
Nice. Well, I'm going to get you to mute because we got 20 seconds left. I want to say big thank you to Toe Tag, Molly, YJ, Mennonite Abe, D. Cohen, and Cat Chaser with a natural hat trick. Very much appreciate the love and support. It's so good to be back, people. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you're new. Hit subscribe. Here we go with hour 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Chemisol. Chemisol is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where we head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller brings in another spooky story.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp.
All right, so check this out. I'm not a big fan of Uber. Random people picking you up sounds like a bad idea just waiting to happen. And this experience only confirms my problems. I worked as a bartender in the UK at a pretty popular bar. I always take cabs to and from work as I don't have a car. And one night was hectic, and cabs were coming and going with people. So many that I couldn't get a hold of one. Desperate, I downloaded Uber and found a driver 2 minutes away from me. He arrived, and I attempted to open the back door, but it was locked. I looked at the driver, who asked me to open the front passenger door. I found it odd that he wanted me sitting right next to him, but I assumed he had a bunch of crap in the back. Reluctantly, I got into the passenger seat. The man had a thick Russian accent. And part of me considered just speaking Russian to him, but looking back on it now, I'm glad that I kept that ace up my sleeve. "Where are you going?" he asked aggressively, as if I was wasting his time. I told him the address. He plugged it in, and we were on our way. Usually, in these stories, the kidnapper starts following the route and then goes off track once your guard is down. This guy took the first wrong turn that he could. I said, this is not the way. Please turn around. I begged him. He said, no, I know a shortcut. Except he didn't. I saw his phone, and his turn added 4 minutes to the drive time. Just then, his phone started ringing with the ID saying Leova K. He picked up the phone, and that's when I heard the most horrifying call in my life. Yes, the lady is in my car. She suspects nothing. Prep the chains. I'll be there in 10. Make sure everything is ready. We can't leave any remains. We were too sloppy last time. He said all of this in Russian, assuming that I didn't understand. To this day, sometimes I wish that I didn't. I knew I had less than 10 minutes to get out of this situation, or I doubted that I'd ever be seen again. We were approaching a stoplight. I had to formulate a plan quickly. The door was locked, but it was one of those button locks that you could pull out to unlock the door. There was a risk of the man being armed, but I didn't have a choice. Another problem was that he had entered a bad neighborhood, one that was dangerous for a young woman like me walking home alone at night to be in. I decided that after escaping, I would have to order another Uber and just pray it was safe. The light turned yellow, then green, and as the car moved forward, I pulled the button and leapt out of the vehicle. Hey, get back in here, the driver yelled, but I was already running. I didn't expect to hear footsteps behind me, but when I turned back, the driver was chasing after me. He just ditched his car to chase me. I turned down an alley and hid behind this rubbish bin. I heard him run past the alley. I waited hours to hear his footsteps again run past the alley entrance. I left the alley and looked back down the street. The car was gone, but my nerves weren't any better. I was still in a bad neighborhood. I was about to call for another Uber when I wised up. He was probably expecting that I do that. He was probably on his phone waiting for the alert. So I began my trek home. I made the whole 2-hour walk home. I was lucky not to encounter any trouble along the way, and as soon as I was back home, I cried. I lived alone, so I didn't feel safe one bit. The Uber driver still had my address. I called the police and I gave them the man's description and the car's make and model. Like a classic horror story idiot, I didn't get the license plate, so they couldn't do much. But they said that they would send an officer to the area. A few weeks later, I was urged to check the internet to see if anything had been done about my complaint. I found an article on a Jane Doe found dead by a riverside. Her hands were chained and a bullet was in her skull. The man, not my Uber driver, charged with the crime told the police of a man named Leova Casanova who led the entire gang. Nothing ever came up about Leova, though. I decided not to come forward with what I knew. I just wanted to return to my life. It's been 3 years since then, and I've been able to move on with my life. I'm happily married, and I now manage my bar. I have twins coming in a few months, and for everyone out there who uses Uber, I won't tell you not to use the app, even though I haven't used it since that night, but I will ask you to make sure you have the driver's license plate, his description, and the make of his car, and always make sure he stays en route. It may seem like a long and arduous process, but it may just save your life.
And that's why we love the Swamp Dweller around here, spooking us out each and every night. You can find him on his YouTube channel, where there are thousands of free stories just like this one for you to check on out. Go to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads to check it on out. All right, it is time once again where we bring in little Timmy Senor and the UFO report. And Tim, I got no audio for you tonight. My audio system is kind of screwing up tonight. But that's okay. getting it figured on out. Hey, this is my first show back in 2 weeks, but I'm glad that you are here, my friend.
Great to see you, Dave. It's nice to be back. How are things going for you?
You know what? It is very nice to be back. I got a lot of rest. You and I talked quite a bit while I was on down hiding in the basement, getting things done. And, you had a very successful stint back in Utah, again, where there's some exciting stories happening there. There was a lot of UFO news coming around. And I'm telling you, we did well, my friend. We did very well in trying to keep it all together. The After Hours show and Jessica with the Cryptid Huntress Off the Trails did great on the weekends. And we're very thankful for the rest of our team pulling it together while I took my first break in 7.5 years. So that was kind of cool. That was very cool.
Yeah, that's great. Well-deserved break, buddy. You've got a great team. So it's nice to see them support you and give you a little break.
Tim, do you know what today is?
I do.
For most people who may not remember this, it is the 61st anniversary of the abduction of Betty and Barney Hill.
That's right.
61 years ago. Now, their niece, Kathleen Martin, put a piece up today on Facebook, and I would just like to read this for you, if you don't mind. She goes, 61 years ago today, Betty and Barney Hill, who are her aunt and uncle, were returning to their home on New Hampshire's seacoast from a trip to upstate New York and southern Canada. As they were driving through upstate New Hampshire, a large, silent, unconventional aerial craft rapidly descended towards their vehicle. Barney stopped their 1957 two-tone blue and white Chevy Bel Air in the middle of the highway so he wouldn't be directly under the craft, and grabbed his binoculars from the car seat. The craft descended lower to approximately 100 feet in the distance. He observed entities that he told the first investigator, NICAP scientific investigator Walter Webb, were somehow not human. Barney was terrified, sensing that he would be captured by these entities. He fled to his lighted running vehicle and fled down the highway. The craft headed in his direction, and soon he and Betty heard a series of code-like buzzing tones and felt a tingling sensation in their bodies. There is much more to this event, including physical evidence that has been analyzed by scientists, hypnosis sessions, and investigations. And she has a book on this called Captured, the Betty and Barney Hill UFO Experience 60th Anniversary Edition, with the foreword by Dr. Bruce Maccabee, who's another former guest on this show. And let me tell you, 61 years. Do you think outside of Betty and Barney Hill, Travis Walton, Calvin Parker, and maybe even Chris Bledsoe, do you think we are going to get, the Andreasen family in California on Catalina Island, do you think we are going to get another big, popular alien abduction story like this?
I mean, yes. Yes, I do think so, because they probably exist, but the people that they happen to are a little bit afraid to come out. I mean, think about what happened to Whitley Strieber and how brave he was just coming forward with his story and being able to write it in detail. So yes, I do think that people will start coming forward once they see perhaps that this is not a topic that's been, taken lightly anymore. It's being taken seriously. And so I do think that big cases exist. And I think that we will start to see more and more of them. Absolutely.
Right. I hope we do. I hope we do.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
Doesn't that feel better now? Now it feels official.
So
It
bizarre.
feels official. Totally
There you
official.
go. 11:19. We'll have to remember that. Making a note.
Yes, we'll have to get that. I felt bad about that, Tim. I don't know why it disappeared from this, but we'll get that reloaded in nonetheless. But I gotta ask you. I mean, 61 years though. I mean, this story is still very much in the news, and thank you to Kathleen Martin for keeping this story going.
Yeah.
But it really shows the idea of a just getting an Amber Alert here in Vancouver,
Oh no.
and of a 3-year-old boy who's been abducted here. Last
Oh
seen
no.
at Children's Hospital. The suspect is his mother. Well, that's not very good.
Well, I
That's
can
not-
tell you that I know that there was a recent shock doc that was released on Discovery Plus that did a great job covering the Betty and Barney Hill case. And we got to see Kathleen tell the story and, of course, bring the evidence forward again with the dress and some of the other historical proof. And I can't tell you, I mean, you and I have had a chance to meet her and to hear the story again in person, and to be able to ask questions and have her honest answers. The case is definitely, I mean, I think even experts consider it the best abduction case that really has held water through the years. And of course, Kathleen Martin, being a living relative, keeping that story going is absolutely incredibly important. And she's kind of one of those people I feel like we should have represented, if not represent, at Congress. Have her tell that story. If somebody hasn't heard an abduction case, maybe this is a great warm up. Have her tell that story. She's amazing in person.
She would
So,
be great at Congress. That is a fantastic idea. It
yeah,
really is a fantastic idea. And we need actually a little bit more of that. When they are ready to open up for experiencers, we got to hope that people like Kathleen Martin, no ties to the military. Yes, she is with MUFON. Okay. But no ties to the military, no ties to government, pushing
right.
back and making sure that, we could get things happening. I think that's
Yeah,
great. Hey, there's a UFO news north of the border here. Why don't
there
you
sure
fill us
is. What a great article coming forward from CTV News. The Canadian Defense Minister was briefed on UFOs ahead of the US intel report. And so now we're getting a release on some information that shows that the former Canadian Defense Minister Harit Sajan received briefings on UFOs, and documents obtained by CTV News reveal that in May 20 of 21, briefing followed a flurry of mainstream media coverage about the then upcoming report on the U.S. military sightings of the unidentified aerial phenomenon. And so the term American officials are now using as the more commonly known, and as you prefer, UFOs. And so we saw this report come forward in Canada and presented a little bit ahead of time, even before the report came here in the United States. And so, what I personally found incredibly interesting was in this report, they actually revealed what was given as this report to the minister. And so, some of the information, and I don't know if you're okay with me talking about this here live, but some of the bullet points in this report were incredibly interesting. And I found some of those details, including some of the historical programs in Canada, very enlightening.
Fill in the audience on those.
Sure. So as far back as the 1950s, Canada had a investigative department called the Defense Research Board, or the DRB, and this conducted research into reported "quote unquote" flying saucers near North Bay, Ontario. And then 10 years later, in the 60s, departmental responsibility for reporting assignments, reported assigned from the DND and the CAF to the National Research Council, or the NRC, And so basically, this was another department that happened. And let me just go through what that is. Again, so this was working with NORAD. Okay. And then in 1995, a partnership arose for UFO research and reporting non-meteoric sightings. And so this was the beginning of a new directive that started through the University of Manitoba. And then this continued through 2000, and Mr. Ratowski, who is the leader of this program through the University of Manitoba, received all UFO related reports from the DND and Transport Canada. So at this point, they were collating all of this information through one program. And currently, University of Manitoba does not fund Canadian UFO survey, but assists in archiving all of Mr. Ratowski's files for future research. So there is a program. They are interested, and they have been doing research and collecting it since the 50s. And it just sounds like this program was kind of forwarded through the University of Manitoba.
You know, there's a big sore point among Canadian UFO researchers that Chris Rutkowski was getting those files handed over to him by the Department of National Defense and Transport Canada. That is a very big sore point here. But let me expand on this a little bit more. And I was talking to Daniel Otis earlier today, who tipped me off to this article. And I followed up in a tweet with it today. Harjit Sajjan, the former defense minister of Canada, was originally read into this program along with the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau between August and December of 2019. However, we cannot find the paper trail that it happened. I have two sources, one in the US and one in Canada, who have confirmed that our former ambassador to the United States, a gentleman named David McNaughton, was read in at the Pentagon by staffers on the UFO desk. They then, because we are obviously part of NATO, NORAD is more specifically, the Five Eyes, were read into this because a lot of these craft were coming in from Canadian airspace. So when we got in to it, what we can say is that 2 years previous to the report in the United States coming out, that they were read in. The Liberal government, led by Justin Trudeau, has not made mention of anything regarding UFOs or unidentified aerial phenomena. He has not been quoted on it. And I believe that is for a lack of quality journalism that is not happening here in Canada outside of the hard work of Daniel Otis, save a couple other journalists who have written offbeat articles about the subject. Nobody has really pushed the limits to asking the Prime Minister whether or not this has happened. It's going to get interesting now that the Conservative Party of Canada, the official opposition, has a new leader, because that leader was supported by writings that members of Parliament who are currently pushing the UFO subject in Canada have a keen interest in. So I think going forward, we actually may see more of this type of news coming out, because once Canada goes to an election, now technically we don't need to have an election for another 3 years, but I think it'll happen sooner than that. Once Canada does go for an election, this could be an electoral topic. And I'm going to wait for your comment on this. We got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Tim Senor with the UFO report is here on Spaced Out Radio, and we've got his audio figured out now. So we're all good there. We know what's happening around here. Hey, Little Rust comes with 2 weeks holidays. Forgive me, but we'll get her done right after this. Continue the UFO report. Tim Senor is here. We can hear him. We can't see him because he's wearing camouflage tonight. For sure, he still looks like Howie Mandel. More UFO stuff right after this when we return. The final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Let me just do a quick test here, Tim.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
Okay, that's good. By the way, I also have a new Dave 101 theme song. I can't wait for that one to come out. And yes. I'm not used to being up this late.
It's rough. So rough.
Evan Walters, how you doing? Thanks for ripping one in the chat room. Appreciate that. Terrible Times, nice to see you again. And let's see here. Who else? The original AA Ron has reported for duty. Jessica, how you doing? Super Knower, good to have you back. Tracy Gale, welcome back. I think I'm caught up here. And there he is, the legend, Super Duke, Super Duke. He loves his theme song. Stu Gerson, what's happening, my man? Good to see you. Super Duke, Super Duke. Invisible Tracker, good to see you. Good morning, Body Tech. What's new, Timmy?
I spent all day reading a book on anti-gravity. I just couldn't put it down. But no, nothing's been going on. I've been working and playing with my kids a lot. It's just been catch up since we got back from Phenomicon. I have been sewing up my dock and working on the next. So we're getting things scrambling, getting locations accomplished before the winter when we have to dry dock our rig and put it at a secret location. And it'll actually be looking at the skies 24/7 from that secret location, which is also a hotspot. So the lab.
You and your secret locations.
It's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting.
You're a secret location kind of guy. You're the kind of guy who wouldn't even give out the 11 herbs and spices that KFC uses if you worked there. You're that guy.
I would just open the packet and, say nothing. That's right.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're all about.
Mm-hmm. Timmy can keep a secret.
So I'm in the hardware store the other day. And you know how everybody has a doppelganger? So I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, holy cow, that's Grant Cameron. Grant Cameron. Like, look at this. Does that not look like Grant Cameron?
Dude, you took a stranger's photo without him knowing?
I totally did because it looked like Grant Cameron.
Holy crap. You're so lucky he didn't bust you. How do you explain that? But
I made it
well
look
done,
like
sir. Creepy but cool. He would just think that you were odd if he noticed, but that does look very much like Grant.
Oh, it totally looks like Grant Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
Totally looks like Grant Cameron. You know? What else do I got here? I got to show you this photo. I'm just trying to find it here.
You've had some fun. I can't let you out of the house anymore. Every time he does something else cringe. I swear, this guy.
What?
Just follow you around with the camera. I swear, it's great.
What are you talking about? Here's the photo that
All Canadian, like it's no big deal.
Check this out.
The privacy.
This is SpaceX at the bottom, being followed by, or pardon me, that's the International Space Station at the bottom, being followed by a SpaceX rocket.
Man, that's a That's intense and cool. How do you come up on that photo, my friend?
It just started flying over us.
No way, you took that?
Yeah,
Oh, that's so cool. Well done.
it was kind of cool.
That's
kinda
very
cool.
cool. Do
All
you have a
right.
telescope?
No, that was from my iPhone.
You can shoot an iPhone down the eyepiece of a telescope too. But very cool, bro. Very cool.
I was happy with that one.
Yeah.
Happy with that one. All right, we got 15 seconds. Thank you, Toe Tag, Molly, YJ, Mennonite Abe, D. Cohen, and Cat Chaser for the amazing super chats tonight. Very much appreciate it. We're going to come back with the UFO report and Tim Senor right now, guys. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with the UFO report. Tim Senor is here. And right before the break, Tim, we were talking about all of this big news coming out of Canada about the fact that former Defense Minister Harjit Sajjan was read in on the UFO stuff. And this is something that he has never publicly claimed. It's never been really discussed in the media. The Canadian media seems to have dropped the ball on this. Outside of CTV News is Daniel Otis. I mean, what's your thoughts here? I mean, you get somebody like Grant Cameron who has an absolute, the absolute pulse on what's happening in Canada. And, I say that with a little bit of bias because Grant is a hero and a mentor of mine and a giant fan of Spaced Out Radio. And of course, his underling, his research assistant, Nicole Sakic, is a very, very good, close friend of mine and this show. And I know she's in the chat room tonight as well. But I mean, the idea that, Tim, that we're just starting to see more come out of Canada. How important is this, the fact that this story is not, just being swept under the rug here?
It's massive. I mean, the whole topic is massive, and so it should be covered, equally in Canada. And I just want to think back, not too far back here, we actually covered a great story on how UAP is being discussed more now in Canada. In fact, part of the topic progress has been made simply by discussing quote unquote drone incursions over the power stations across Canada. And so they were having video and, they were getting influx of information of these quote unquote drones incursions over the power stations of Canada. And I thought that you were pivotal actually in bringing that to light in the media. And so we covered it on your show, and we obviously discussed it as a real topic. And so I think that actually helped progress the ball forward. Even if you do consider this something mundane, it's something to be considered as potentially a sign of aggression, perhaps, and should be considered a real topic that needs to be addressed, whether it is mundane or not.
Very true. Very true. We're going to see how this plays out. We're going to have to see if there's more meetings behind the scenes that are coming forward. We're going to have to see what happened at previous meetings that allegedly had not gone through. There's a lot of real information to come out of Canada just recently on UFOs that we will be investigating over the next little bit. All right, here's a topic that is a little old, but because I was on holidays, we didn't really get a chance to. And Tim, this one grinds my gears, man. You know, we told everybody that this was likely to happen. We did. And we told them months ago. And now it seems like it's coming to fruition, where the United States Navy is saying, hey, American public, we are not going to be giving you any more UFO videos. So if you think you're going to get some, you got another thing coming.
Yeah, fair dinkum. I'll tell you what, the U.S. Navy suggests it has more UFO videos, but will not be releasing them. And, you know, we can just discuss the article because it's saying here very clearly that releasing any new videos would be a national security concern. And it's not a new topic, right? It is something that we've heard in the past, but they're kind of drawing a line here, saying don't expect any more of these videos to be released, at least not through the sources that we've had, right? And that has been through the U.S. Navy. Now, their hand has been forced in the past. It hasn't really been up to them. But I think the implication here is that perhaps they're going to lean a little bit heavier on people that are pivotal in the release of these videos, and they may not be so lenient on those people along with that.
Well, here's the big thing that I see happening here, okay, is that the U.S. Navy is still pouting over the fact that Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon were able to, let's say, skip the system in order to get Go Fast, Gimbal, and Tic Tac out to the public through the To the Stars Academy. Now, one of the things I always questioned regarding this was this fact. And to this day, I'm still a little perplexed by this. If the Navy of the United States, who owned those videos, was so upset that those videos got out, as we now see, they're still pretty upset about it, why did they never take action against the To the Stars Academy, who actually, when they released those to the media, had the audacity to put the To the Stars Academy logo on those videos like they were property of the TTSA, when the TTSA never owned them? They were property of the United States Navy. I always wanted that question answered. Always. We'll never get it. But that was the type of question that kept us from ever getting anybody from the To the Stars Academy on this show.
Right. Right. And the source file for a lot of that stuff you might find is actually from a Navy website. And so although they may have dragged it from perhaps a Navy website, then put their logo on it and then released it, they may quote unquote have been attempting to make something public that was already accessible to the public. You just may not have known how to do that. And the reason I say that is simply because we've seen this happen with the Navy videos. For example, Jeremy Corbell released some videos that we all considered were image refraction from internal camera imagery, the big three-dimensional pyramids, right? Well, the Navy came out and showed some more images also coming from the Omaha, where the image showed a ball going into the water. They showed more video of quote-unquote drones. And this was a decision that was made by the Navy on the same event. And what that told me was, oh, look, here's a bunch of video that they're okay showing us. Now let's wonder about all of the classified versions of these videos that they have that they aren't showing us, right? For every one that they are, there must be 10 that they're not, is my assumption. And so I find it very interesting. Every move you see kind of reveals a hand. And so I think that there's much more to be seen, but our eyes will never see it. And the fact that they're saying, don't expect more videos, also tells me that there must be so many that they don't know what's real and what isn't anymore.
Well, it's still one of those questions we will never get answered. So here's how those videos came out. I was talking to Terry Hall, our business manager, about this earlier. You know, it's nothing romantic like they were, put in stolen from a file and then put into a briefcase and ran out to a unmarked car and got the hell out of Dodge at the Pentagon parking lot. It wasn't like that at all. When Elizondo was running the ATIP program at the Pentagon, on each sheet of paper, he would have to mark down unidentified for top secret or any type of security clearance. Or one of the sections would be, is it a jet? Is it a drone? And on those 3 videos, at the encouragement of Chris Mellon, Elizondo marked those 3 videos as drones. And because they were marked as drones, nobody double-checked Elizondo's work, and they were able to be released to the public as non-top secret videos.
Unclassified.
Because they were unclassified as drones. That's how those original videos got out. Now, were there some mistakes? Yes. I could see where people like the United States Navy and people at the Pentagon like Susan Goff and others are still very upset with Elizondo and Mellon for basically cheating the spooks out of their own, or playing the spooks at their own game, if you could put it that way. What's your thoughts?
Well, I know that there's a massive demand from the bottom all the way up to the top, and perhaps starting at the top, to have another look at the way things are classified. And so I know this was a demand coming from Congress because they feel like there's a problem with how this information is being classified at the source. So whether Elizondo and his team were sidestepping things or actually doing their job and doing due diligence by calling it that, we're seeing tons of things being called drones. I don't see how that was part of a misleading topic if they were to call it a drone. It's an assumption, and it's still a classification. A UAP is still an unmanned aerial phenomenon, or now UAV, a vehicle. Still terminology. And so we need these things to remain unclassified at the source so that it does disseminate down to not necessarily the public, but at least Congress. A public hearing needs to be something that has actually got some information, and it's not going to have anything new unless we get good information that is not classified, and it's something that's real and it comes from the source, and it doesn't have to be a drone. It can be a question mark. We're okay with not knowing what the Navy thinks this is. They can just show us a video. And I think that that's the sort of thing that needs to happen, the reclassification, or at least a new system of how things are classified at the source. And I think that that was something that also Elizondo and his team were pushing for.
Well, we're going to be very interested in seeing where this goes in the future, because the U.S. Navy is now played their heavy-handed card. As Nicole said in our chat room, before the Air Force, before Space Force, there was the Navy. The Navy tests out the Navy, let's face it, is the most powerful military in the world, and in the United States. They have everything. Their aircraft carriers, one aircraft carrier carries more fighter planes than most countries' air forces. Let's remember that. That's one aircraft carrier. And I believe the United States has 12, 14 aircraft carriers at 85, 86 aircraft a ship. Think about that. Never mind the jets that are parked on land at land bases. The Air Force, the Navy in the United States has been very closely working with NASA over the years. They control everything, almost everything when it comes to all the goodies. Right? So do they have the power to say, yeah, we're going to shut that down? Of course they do. We knew this was coming, Tim. We knew it was about to happen. We knew that they would shut the door when the chatter got too loud. When too many kids were begging for candy on Halloween, the Navy turned their lights off. And that's exactly what's happening. To help discourage, in my opinion, to help discourage whistleblowers from coming out, for people asking for immunity to speak in front of Congress, if there's ever any more hearings on this, it is pure greed, Tim. Pure greed.
So what does this mean for Galileo Project and for all of these independent projects that want complete transparency with all of their data? Is it going to be illegal for Avi Loeb to show us an image if he has an interesting picture?
Well, don't you find it interesting that a scientific method has brought on government officials like Mellon, like Elizondo, like Sean Cahill, like Seth Stoshak, and others? I find that interesting. If you go through the who's who on the names list of the Galileo Project, there's a lot of names out there that are questionable. I'm not saying that they are infiltrated. I'm not saying that the Galileo Project has picked bad people, but I often wonder, what is Avi Loeb's goal here? Is it to find life out there? Is it to find another Oumuamua, which he believed was an alien spaceship a few years ago flying by us? Is it finding another one of those? Or is it actually proving extraterrestrial life? Because here's the thing. Outside of Elizondo Mellon, there are a number of government officials in there. A number. And when you bring those people on, they're not there for the benefit of the public, as Galileo says they should be. And Avi Loeb says he should be. I think Loeb is more interested in potentially earning a Nobel Prize off of this than he is about actually moving ufology and ET contact forward. That's my opinion. Your thoughts?
I find Avi Loeb incredibly inspirational. I love the goal of his project. I love that he uses a university setting and students as part of the project. And I like that he's developing a new science. And to be honest, that, if nothing else, is a massive goal, I believe, of him to explore the possibilities of a new science and a new physics, that we need to consider. And so he's using techniques to prove things out. He's using new telescopes and scientific data collection, which I think is great. And so this is kind of along the same lines of what my project is like. And so I always see the good in science. And, yes, are there red flags involved in his project because of who he's decided to work around? Perhaps, but at the same rate, I see the man who's very focused on a goal. And if others are there to perhaps lend their expertise, let that happen. As long as he remains transparent and remains very clear on what he's trying to get out of this project, which I think he has stated many times. So again, not to get too far off topic, I believe in the science, but again, we need a lot of eyes on it to make sure that he stays true to it.
Well, that's what we do need. We do need. And hopefully he has the people in there that can continue to patrol what is good and what is bad about Galileo. And I don't want anything to be bad. I really don't. But we'll see what happens here very, very, very soon. All right, we got 2 minutes here. Let's get to our final topic of the night about Ukrainian astronomers during the war that's going on between Ukraine and Russia, seeing UFOs nightly in their skies. This is incredible, because not only is it happening here, okay, and this has nothing to do with Russia versus Ukraine, so I don't want to see our chat room go off in shambles here. All right? Keep it politically free. But we also saw this happen in Afghanistan. back in 1991. It started with the original Iraq War. I've talked to people who served over there who saw UFOs over the battlefields. This isn't new. Should we be surprised by this, Tim?
No, and in fact, I remember Russia reporting that whenever they would move something massive in their military back before any of this conflict, they would attract the UAP in the skies and they would actually be able to interact with them. There were many reports of this. So, UFO over the skies in this part of the world are nothing new. But Ukraine's astronomers are saying that there are tons of UFOs over Kiev. And so Ukraine has used equipment in Kiev to study the skies, and the results are simply bizarre. Ukraine's airspace has been busy this year, and because that's just the nature of war. But scientists in the country are looking to the skies and seeing something they didn't expect. And so in this new article from Vice magazine, they say that an inordinate number of UFOs, according to a new print paper published by Kiev's main astronomical observatory in coordination with the country's National Academy of Science. The paper does not specifically address the war, but in the United States, the Pentagon had a long hinted, speculated, and warned that some of the UFOs could be advanced technology from foreign militaries, perhaps specifically China or Russia. And though in this given evidence hasn't actually been the case, the Ukraine paper in particular is notable because it's not only showing that the science is continuing to prove that a lot of these cases are significant and should be considered UFO. The paper is entitled Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon and the Observations of the Events. And so this is very interesting that this country is taking it seriously, especially during this time. And some of the video and some of the photographs that they're studying are pretty convincing. Have you had a chance to study any of them yourself, Dave? Because I've seen quite a few of them come through the past few months.
Well, you know what? There's been a number of cases that seem to have popped up where they're seeing all sorts of craft, from triangles to orbs to rods to everything. I think that, a lot of that could be American technology, but a lot of it right now remains unknown. Tim, we got to say goodnight. Thank you for a great UFO report on your return. And we got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music. Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Spreaker, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and we can't forget Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Hot damn, that was a fun show. Oh,
he's back.
Good to be back. Oh, that felt good. I was nervous.
A great show.
I was nervous.
Yeah. That's adorable.
No, it was good.
Great. Yeah. You were missed. Yeah, I'm sure your audience has been craving that sweet,
Oh,
buttery
yeah.
voice.
They've been very nice to me tonight. Very
That's good.
nice.
That's beautiful.
I
Well, I
figured
can
it
tell
out.
you,
I figured something out. If I was about 165 pounds lighter, I would be Terry Hall's doppelganger. I would grow the handlebar mustache,
yeah.
sticking it out, grow a little chin swab here. I would be Terry Hall's doppelganger.
Man, that'd be so crazy. Having both of you on set with me some point, I wouldn't know either of you apart. Forget about it.
Well, the only problem that we'd have is Terry's like 7'5", and I'm like 5'8" 3/4.
He's not 7'5".
Close enough. Close.
He's a tall white, but he's not 7'5".
Uh-huh.
So you know why I know aliens aren't visiting Earth?
Why? Because little Marky Spender says I need a haircut?
This is a joke. No, because they only get 1 star.
Oh. Okay,
Get
hold
it,
on.
like one-
Resident Swamp Dweller tells us a spooky one.
Sorry. It was bad. You're right.
We got 1 minute left with you. Thank you for playing along with the top 5 with us tonight.
I can have my opinions and speak them with, I guess. I guess that's a damn good question. Messed up, but they, you know.
Number 2. What's the best and worst part about leaving?
Probably shit my pants.
That's the one we want right there.
Probably shit my pants. Probably shit my pants.
Eliminate that right off the bat here, so I don't have to worry about that.
Definitely
Thanks.
play it a few more times first.
No. You're doing so well. Hey, at least I found that one quickly. Some of them
You
are
did
hidden.
that very nicely. He nipped it.
Some of them are hidden in there. Oh yeah. You know. Hey Eddie Petch, how you doing, bud? Lunar Tina, Aussie Rob, how's the Ham Hawks down in Australia? Damn, it's good to have you back there, Tim.
It's been a while, my friend. It really has. So much has happened too. So much has oh my god, so much has happened. Forget about it. I don't even know where to start.
People were actually worried that I was going to cut my hair during my break.
That's just crazy.
I did cut it.
That'll never. Yeah.
I did cut it. I took an inch off because the bottoms were like my hair stopped growing. It literally stopped growing.
Were people worried that I was going to grow mine? They don't need to worry about that.
I don't know. Hi, Pam Smith. How are you? I did not have Taco Bell last week, but I am probably going to have to make a Vancouver run here pretty soon on a weekend. So I may... Why is my audio
If you actually had to run there, I don't think you'd eat as much fast food. You just call it a run. I'm such a dick.
That was a dick comment. I will say that. Had to wipe the shit in his pants. What the hell's that about, YJ?
I love YJ. What's he got to say? Toilet humor from YJ. Okay.
Oh, that's yeah.
What is taco?
Yeah,
And
little Marky Spender's
Tuesday,
there.
So look at that.
Little Marky Spender's there trying to be funny, but it's just not working as per usual. Hey, there's Nicholas Shaughnessy coming on back. Good job, kid, this weekend.
Big text.
The Ham Hawks are getting moisturized. They probably should there, Ozzy Rob. Let me ask you something, Tim. Totally off topic. Do you like pedicures?
I mean, I deal with it myself, but no, I don't like other people dealing with it for me. I'm kind of a
Really?
self-maintenance guy. I don't know if you can tell. This is all self-made, dude. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, forget about it.
I was watching this. I'm sitting there having a pedicure a few weeks ago when I had to go
Of
to my
course you
nephew.
were.
When I had to go to my nephew's wedding.
You probably have other people shine your shoes too for you.
Yeah. I'm right, I do. No, I shine my own actually.
I shine my own boots too. All right, all right. No, but go ahead with your story of someone.
So I'm watching this
fondling your
guy. He
feet and
walks in with
whatnot.
his wife. I'm like snoring away in the massage chair. Okay, I'm getting my feet pampered. I'm snoring away, and I wake up. Everybody's laughing at me because I'm snoring, which I don't really care. I'm there for me, myself, and I. You know, and this guy comes in with his wife, and you could see him. Must have been his first time because he's like doing all this shit, right? Like kind of looking around, making sure none of his beer buddies or slow pitch team is like messing with him right now. You know, I feel for people like that, man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's like, come on, bud, just enjoy it, man.
I mean,
We
not every dude gets pampered like you do. I mean, you get pampered a lot. I've seen it firsthand. You're a pamper guy. I
What are you
get it,
talking about?
but
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, it's Caesar's Palace. That's right.
I mean, a manicure, pedicure, that's the stuff I take care of on my own. But I know chicks do it, and that's cool.
I paid for 90 minutes worth of massage at our bar seat in
Oh
Caesar's.
yeah. Oh, when we were gambling at the bar. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, who gets them? I mean, please. You're so funny. I mean, I get it. You know, why not? If you got a knot in your back or something, but it's just not the thing I get, right? I don't
Tim
get
is
pampered. I
not
never
single.
would get like
Tim is not single.
well, I just would never spend money on myself. That's another thing. Like, I just like I'd rather get my kids something or like a vacation or a new camera or something cool. But you're like, nah, rub my back, do my nails, and I'm just gonna lay here for a while and let's jiggle.
You play
No,
with your own. You fix your own cuticles and everything.
I mean, I guess, dude, it's just natural. Things happen. I don't need to mess with stuff. I don't know what that question was, but I'm fine.
You
I
know what?
do keep them. I keep them nice and dull. How's that?
We are. I am so going to take you for a pedicure.
Forget about it. It's
We're
never
going to
gonna
have a
happen.
guys' night out pedicure party. That's what we're
Oh
going to
my
have.
god, it sounds like a nightmare.
Harry Hall, we need somebody to sponsor that.
This sounds terrible.
Speaking of which, actually, when you said gambling earlier on, we do want to make sure that, and we're going to start
Encourage
advertising
that.
quite a bit here. We do want to make sure that all of our listeners are booking May 19th to 21st, 2023 for our second annual Las Vegas fan party. All
It's gonna be
right.
great.
We are going to start building the names up here soon. We are going to we are working on where the event the likelihood is that it will be back at the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas on the old strip. And
Nice.
that is something that we want to make sure that we have just as an amazing turnout as we did the last time earlier this year. It was a big success. We're going to be one of the things that we are going to be doing is we are making sure that all of our hosts are going to be there this year. And pretty soon, within the next few weeks, we're hoping to start taking or booking people for the event. We are going to do an entire day's worth of YouTube. So Jessica Jones is going to host her show the cryptid hour for not 1 hour, but probably 2 hours. Then I'm the after hours team is going to host their show for a couple of hours. And then I'm going to come in for a couple of hours and host our show right there.
Good stuff.
And we're going to make sure that everybody has a good time. We're going to make sure that the first 50, 60 people get T-shirts and swag bags, just like last time. We're going to make sure that everybody has a good time and that everybody can get together. We'll have one of the things we are going to do next year is we are going to provide a chat room for everybody, so that way everybody knows where everybody is. So if you sign up, we'll start our own chat room, probably on WhatsApp or Signal, and let everybody know what's going on there and what they could do or where we can meet up. And we'll have good little meetups during the day and night, and we're going to have a great time. And it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And little Timmy Senor is going to be there. Terry Hall is going to be there. Nicole Sakic is going to be there. We're going to try and get Grant Cameron down. We know Science Bob is going to be there. We know that it's a phone call away for Melinda Leslie and Lorian Fenton to get there. We're going to make sure that we have a plethora of good people. We know Jim Goodall is going to come. Carter Bouchard has already said he's going to come. Nate and Corey Rudd, aka Nate Foot and Hallmark, plan on being there. We're just gonna do it big, guys. We're gonna do it big and have a lot of fun. And you know what? We had so much fun the last time. We want to do it again. And we'll see who else we can get out there to hang on out with us. And
Yeah,
we're gonna have a great time.
Yeah,
Great time.
I want to take the mobile lab out there because I have a hotspot that I've been invited to, and so maybe we can coordinate, and I'll have Starlink out there. We can do a live show from the hotspot at the same time. You never know.
I'm not doing a live
Could
show
be fun. From a hotspot with UFOs hovering over you.
We may just bring people out to the desert and go from there.
Leave them there. Just leave them there. No, I'm just kidding. Let them get beamed up. Yeah.
It's probably a 99.9% we're going to be back at the Golden Nugget. I will make sure of that.
Hopefully you'll find your way back there.
Time there last time. I really did.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of good people there, and we are going to make sure that we could do it again. And I look forward to it. I really, really look forward to it. So it's going to be very entertaining, very interesting, and we're going to be able to see where everything goes here very, very soon. And once again, we're going to be cleaning it up a little bit. I'm going to say from last year, we have a lot of good, but there's a lot of things that we want to fix for next year. Maybe what we'll do is we'll take a tour. Where we should take the motorhome is out to Area 51.
See, now you get it.
Yeah, but we could do that on Sunday. I don't want to broadcast. The only thing I want there is one photo, dude. I want one photo. Me in front of the sun with the camo dudes.
That'd be fun.
Up on the hill in behind. Then I'll say, hey, do you know little Timmy Senor?
They'll be like, we know that guy.
Yeah. So everybody put it on your calendar. It's May 19th to 21st, which also coincides with my 50th birthday party. Yeah. Big 5-0.
You're a youngster.
Well,
You're still younger than me. Blows my
there's
mind.
little Eddie Clador. There he is. And Joe Monk is going to be there. We're going to make sure of that.
Very cool, bro.
Yeah. We're going to make sure that Joe Monk is there.
All right, sir. Well, this is where I sign off for the night. I vanish into the night.
You go.
Thank you so much.
We will talk to you. We will talk to you very soon. And a little Marky Spender, I believe, is going to be there. And kind of go from there.
Everyone should go. It's going to be so much fun. Dave is so much fun in person. He's kind of
He
like
is. He really is.
I was gonna say it's like Willy Wonka at the chocolate factory. It's like he just leads you down the path and you're just dancing behind him. His candies and goodies left and right. It's just a wonderland.
I agree.
So
I agree. We'll figure something out for
sure.
like I said, for
Everyone's
next
gonna
year.
be there.
Still in the plan. We'll have once I've got the entire plan out, I will be playing commercials each and every night for this event. And
block out the top suites of the Golden Nugget. We'll just take the top floor.
If you're paying, sure.
Right on. I'm gonna snap out of here because I think my audio is cutting out.
Yeah, you're about to get in trouble.
Yeah, that's it. Right on. Thank you, audience. It's been fun seeing you again. Missed you all. And Dave, it's great seeing you, buddy.
We'll see you in a couple of days, bud.
For sure. You guys have fun. Ciao.
Yes. Yes. And there goes little Timmy Senor. Shaq Valet, how you doing, bud? It's a lovely shirt and tie combination you have on your photo there. Look at that. Isn't that nice? So, I think it's going to be a good time, people. I really do think it's going to be a good time. We're going to have fun. Oh, yeah. God, it felt good to be back tonight. One of these done. Remove those. Move these over here. I was so excited to get back on tonight. I actually had pep in my step coming down to the studio. Pep in my step. Why is that? Okay, so remove this one. And then rename this one. There we go. All right, we should probably, so let me get this loaded up here. Okay, what's going on here? I'm logged in here. I accept. I'm logged in here. I agree. There we go. Hey, would you look at that? Little Tommy Fessler right there dropping at 20 boners. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Love my guys over at Disclosure Tonight. You guys need to, if you aren't already, you need to make sure that before our show to get warmed up, if you want good news and good information, go watch little Tommy Fessler at Disclosure Tonight. High quality news information show right there. High quality. So I highly recommend it. No others recommend it. Okay, let's go here again. So why do we have this happening? There we go. I was in the studio each and every night having to send the radio stations audio. Hey, Mr. Catfish, how you doing? Let's see if we could let's go over and see if we get some Namibia time here. Hold on. I know I'm getting a little bit pixelated there. It's because I'm downloading. Getting a little blurry here. Hold on. Let's go live. See if there's anything good happening here. Skip. Oh, it's raining there. Can't see anything on the cameras. Oh my. All right, let's go back to live. See what's happening at the Nataliti Dam. Nothing. That's a new shot. It's a new camera. See what's happening at our favorite Rosie's Pan. Raining there too. Let's head over to Rosie's Pan here. Hot dang, it's raining there too. Nothing going on there. Just a bunch of new elephant poop. Let's have a Tembe. Let's go to my. Well, we just got a couple of oryx and a bunch of birds. I'll share this with you guys here. Hold on. There you go. Hey, Triple Ack, how you doing? I'll be right back. You guys enjoy that. That is one big oryx right there. One big oryx. Give me 2 seconds here, guys. There you go. Tomorrow night on the show, Sasquatch, Dogman, cryptid monster researcher Eric Mintel will be on the show. He's been investigating for a long time. He's a professional musician and world-acclaimed jazz musician. Played in front of presidents, and he loves investigating paranormal and monsters. We're going to have him tomorrow night. That'll be a great show. Fantastic show. God, those oryx are beautiful. They're a beautiful animal. They really are. Triple Ack. What's going on? Thank you, Nell. It's great to be back. And thank you for getting up. Thank you for getting up early for us over in the UK. We love you. Triple Ack, I'm doing great. The last 2 weeks, I really was able to get some sleep and recover a little bit. I'm definitely not going to wait 7.5 years again before taking a break. So it was very nice. Thank you, Noble Patrick. It was really nice to take that time off and oh, there's the ugly gnu's. There's the ugly gnu's. Hi, Ozzy Ange. How you doing? Look at him. Just walks right through the watering hole. Doesn't give a shit about anybody else. Just walks right in. Yeah, I'm going to this place right here. I'll put my feet in. Even though I've stepped in turds and on bugs all day long. I don't care about anybody else. Screw you, Oryx. This is my watering hole now. Look at these two. Just pig it out on the salt lick there. Since a couple of you just came in, we have locked in our dates for Las Vegas for the second annual fan party. It'll be May 19th to 21st. We haven't figured out the location yet. We are leaning towards going back to the Golden Nugget once again. And going to be setting that up here soon. We want to give you guys as much time as possible to save up and commit to coming to join us in Las Vegas for a fan party. We want to make it bigger. All of our hosts are going to be there, from After Hours to Jessica to myself. Terry Hall is going to be there. We're going to get a bunch of dignitaries and special guests once again to come on in and hang out with all of you. We're going to tighten it up a little bit from last year, where we're going to have everybody in a chat room. We'll figure out where that is, either on Signal or WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or whatever it may be, to bring everybody together to hang on out and make sure that happens. Okay. We want to make sure that everybody has a good time. We want to make sure that everybody can kind of be a part of the celebration of the woo, which is what we like, and have some fun with us and meeting some of our very special guests that will join us as well. We're going to make sure that there's banners up next year, so that way you can get your picture taken with friends and people with the banners. We're going to have a live YouTube show for like 6 hours, maybe 7 hours, for those who can't make it. But we want to see as many people as we possibly can at the location and have some fun with us and go from there. So that way we can all have a good time. We can all hang out and be together once again. And I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. And on that note, I am going to say good night for tonight, because I got to get to bed. I'm still doing a double shift where I work tomorrow. And I got to put my hair up because it is that time of the night where I got to get ready for bed. But good to have you all with us. Thank you so much for our super chatters tonight. Thomas, Third Phase of Moon, Toe Tag, Molly, YJ, Mennonite Abe, D. Cohen, and Cat Chaser, with 3 of them. We really do appreciate the love and support, everybody. And it was so good to be back tonight. I hope you all take the time to join us again tomorrow. And remember, tell your friends we're back on the air. And we were a little bit down in our crowd tonight, but that's okay. That's to be expected. We're going to bring it all back tomorrow night when we fire it up with Eric Mintel as our guest. Love you all. Thank you so much for making this a special night for me and all of you guys being here. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.